I'm a little sweaty, but yeah.
We're live.
Oh, hi, Internet. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Soldiers of the Lich Queen. Thank you for joining us. Glad you could be here. So, last week we picked up 2 new party members, and Hannibal went full badass for like 2 hours straight, and it was awesome. And Drusilla tried to keep everyone from dying. There was a lot of fun. We met new people. Grantar's possessed. There was a dragon.
We now have the dragon.
You now have a dragon.
We have a dragon.
There is a dragon that
We have a dragon.
There is a dragon that will do things and is amenable to you. I don't know if the dragon would necessarily appreciate the sense of ownership there.
So what you're saying is we have a dragon.
Well,
We have a dragon.
I mean, I suppose. Yeah. So that's where, and then the party left from the burning enclave and returned to the City of Pyre, which is where Hannibal and Drusilla have been kind of using as their home base for a while. It is a massive, massive, massive city. And in fact, during channel announcements, which I'm going to hand over to Justin, I will share in the chat and on Discord a link to the really hastily drawn, hand-drawn map of the city that you got from an innkeeper. Me neither. Yes. Yeah. I'll let you know when the first one's going to be coming out. I have it picked. The next one is going to be on creating NPCs, and in particular also villains. And in particular about villains, how to make sure your party does not kill them before you want them dead, as requested by somebody. Yeah, that you did request that. Don't worry, I got you. Justin, are you muted in OBS?
I am muted in OBS. Thank you. We have podcasts now on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. It happens all the time. We have a podcast.
Post-it note.
Beneath the Tide.
Ask Justin.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put a post-it note here. Like, remember not to unmute yourself. Yeah, our first 5 episodes of Beneath the Tide are up on the podcast thing. Check it out. Give us a rating. Demystifying DMing is becoming a podcast.
I'll get to you on that. NPCs, how to make them. Someone, aka Justin, requested that I also go over villains and how to make sure your party doesn't kill them in one session.
That's a
there
mood. But yeah, just possess your PCs with the villain, and then you're good.
Or get your PCs to possess themselves with the villain.
True. So yeah, check that out. It's gonna be fun. November 3rd, that's a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be doing a 12-hour stream for Extra Life. We have 3 of the 6 slots filled already. The first game of the Extra Life stream is Lokatha Rising. We're playing through the one-shot adventure that was released by Wizards of the Coast, a 9th level adventure. You play as the new fish people race Lokatha. It's going to be fun. And then the next slot we have filled is the 2 o'clock slot, and that'll be a game of Dread, ran by Lindsey over there.
Yay!
And then our last slot for the night, we still have other slots to fill, but the last slot for the night is called Pipshin's Funhouse.
Oh boy.
So if you watch our core campaign, you know who Pipshin is. He's my deity in my world, the deity of just the god of trickery and jokes and pranks. So the players are gonna be in a fun house made in his honor, and it's gonna be so stupid, and I'm so excited. Again, once all the slots are filled for games, I will put out application forms, and people can choose what games they want to be a part of. And then the people who are running said games can pick who they want in their games. Again, if you pitch a show or a game you want to DM, or if you put in an application, it does not guarantee you get a slot in the Extra Life stream. Yeah. That said, that is a Sunday, November 3rd.
Wait, it's a Sunday, and the first time slot is
Noon
Pacific?
Noon Eastern.
Right, that one. So, no Soldiers of the Lich Queen that week?
Most likely not.
Okay. I was gonna say, or we could just be we could also be the first slot, but it looks like first slot is taken. So
First slot is taken, but I can change that.
it's up to you.
Because that's what I'm DMing, so yeah. We will put
We'll
Swords
figure it
we'll
out.
put Swords of the Lich Queen in that slot.
Okay.
Just everyone will have to get up an hour earlier.
Oh, that's right, it would be, yeah.
Yeah. So more details on that coming soon. Just because that's the weekend of Extra Life and I want to do something for it, and I don't have the Saturday available.
Mm.
And our goal this time is $1,200. Our last goal was $600, and we raised $606. So let's bump it up. That's it.
All right.
Oh, we have a Patreon. Check it out.
Yeah.
I'll post a link to that in our Twitch chat. And also, please join our Discord, because there's a lot of nice people there.
Yeah. All right, are we ready to go then?
Yep.
Okay. So, all of you have just spent the last 2 hours traveling via magical map, which accelerated your travel speed along the road you were on. You're not quite sure what you looked like to passersby. If there was any passersby, you're not quite sure what you looked like to them. All you know is that basically every few steps, it seemed like a mile or two had passed, or maybe less, maybe more. It's hard to tell exactly. You didn't get the exact measurement. All you know is that the landscape basically was flying past you in fits and starts every couple of steps, and what should have been a very long walk, possibly a couple of days, was shortened down to 2 hours. Up from the enclave in the mountains, down to closer to the coast, where you are currently you ended on a hill overlooking the City of Pyre, which is a massive, massive city. It is currently in contention for largest city in the world. Absolutely huge. It is about 3 miles across at the widest point probably. So from up on the hill, you can see the entire thing laid out in front of you. There's walls around it, and also a few walled sections on the inside that separate off certain districts. It's right up against the coast with a huge cliff that kind of peaks up on one side of a river that splits the city into 3 parts. And on top of that cliff appears to be a huge palace, and that all overlooks the coast to the west. And this is where Hannibal and Drusilla have spent some time. They've done a few jobs here. They've managed to get kicked out of at least one inn. So this is where you've been spending your time, and that is overlooking this and kind of on your way there within a reasonably quick walk. This is where you find yourselves as we start.
So would Sid know if there are any noble families or where the more aristocratic parts of the city are?
I would say make me a history check.
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy. What's my history? Okay.
Because you would probably be educated in this kind of thing, but let's see how well you were paying attention.
That's not horrible, but it's not great. 12.
12. Okay. So you wouldn't necessarily have the geography of the city down. It's
Mhm.
a little bit. It's a big city. It's kind of obscure. It's a little bit kind of like, knowing how to find your way around London when you're from the United States or Canada or something, where you're like, you generally have heard of some things. Like if you listen to Sweeney Todd, you know what Fleet Street is. You can't find it, but you know it's there.
Okay.
So you know that there is the general politics of the city is that it was several hundred years ago when the Church of the Silver Flame came into being and united these four nations into the Arclight Covenant. Their original governments were kind of overtaken by a theocracy that is tied very much into their living god, the Silver Flame. And there were nobles, there was an aristocracy, and it kind of got pushed off to the side after that point. Like they're like, you're just no longer in power anymore, but they still had significant economic influence and had various business interests and things. So while there's not officially nobility, there is still kind of an aristocracy of people who are very, very wealthy and whose families used to be part of the nobility. And as far as you know from the kind of relationships and things you hear about, the people that remain kind of resent the fact that they're rich means that the fact that they're rich has no bearing on the fact that they're in charge or they're not in charge. Like those two things are completely disconnected, and they're not happy about that. But you're not exactly sure where that is.
Okay, cool.
So, where are we going?
I believe one of our new friends said that they could find some people, get us some connections.
Oh yeah. I look. I'm not as sure about that anymore. It's real big. Wow. Oh my.
Have you been to a city before?
Yes.
Are they not all like this one?
I lied. I've never been to a city.
Don't worry, I've only ever been to this one, and it was only once.
Does that mean I am the leader for this excursion? I'll take the silence as a yes.
Just let him do it. Just play along.
Okay.
Alright. So, Hannibal closes his eyes. Sniffs the air a little bit. This way! And I start walking to the east.
That's away from the city?
Oh, no. Into the city.
Okay, so west. Like the city is west of you.
Yeah, into the
on
city.
the western coast.
I thought we were already in the city.
Oh no, okay. So you go down. You mentioned it at the end of last week. You were thinking about passing by the tree, which was on your way.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you wanted to stop there on your way in.
Yes, we stop at this tree first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're walking along the road, and then Hannibal and Drusilla kind of like at a landmark. There's like a large boulder on the side of the road that's peeking up over the grass and covered in moss. They take like a hook turn at that and then go over towards a grouping of trees. And as you walk in, you can see that for the most part, it looks pretty much undisturbed since you left it last night. So it's pretty much looks like no one has been here as far as you can tell.
Well, Aja hates us, so great.
So it's like absolutely no one has been here, like no animals or anything.
Well, you could probably find some signs of animals, like some squirrels and stuff being around, but you're pretty close to the city, so larger you would know that larger animals would be a little more rare coming through here, but things like birds and squirrels and chipmunks and stuff like that are definitely scurrying around.
Okay.
Archimedes, I hope they like you in the city.
Hannibal, you might want to
They're definitely not gonna like Archimedes.
hide him.
Nah, I am fine. He is good.
Hannibal, you might want to hide him.
No, he has benefits.
Hannibal,
No one will approach me if he's on my
might
shoulder.
want to hide him.
Into the city we go. And I.
Just start walking. All right. So the green fish man in a spangly jacket with a bejeweled glove and a flying spider-legged batwing skull on his shoulder starts walking towards the city.
I'm just gonna like look at Sid and be like, I have a lot of specialized training, but nothing's prepared me for this.
Drusilla just walks past them like, I guess we're following him. Let's go. We don't know him if he gets attacked by guards, though. Okay. We'll run the other way. Okay.
Follow a few feet back. Look elsewhere. Plausible deniability.
Yeah.
Just pretend you don't know him as you walk in
And
the
you
city.
don't know. Yep.
All right. Okay, so Hannibal marches ahead, and the rest of the group just kind of hangs back and watch, and just keeps a healthy distance from Hannibal as you approach the gates of the city. You come up, and the stone wall of the city, just as soon as you get up to it, the first thing that strikes all of your mind is just it looks so old. It's made of like giant stone blocks that have been all piled together, which normally would be fairly uneven, but it's pretty much almost smooth just from like wear and weathering and rain and everything that's wind and stuff that's blown up against it that has just worn down the stone until it's pretty much just a completely flush surface. And as you come up to it, you can see that there's a very, very large gateway open. Well, actually, I should ask, are you going towards the closest gate to you? The one that leads into the Silvergate district where your inn was? Okay. So then, it's a very, very wide dirt road that comes up to the city that becomes cobbled a little bit outside the gate. And you can see guards standing on either side, kind of just idly sitting there, not really, scrutinizing anyone as they come through. And you can see a couple of wagons and carts of farmers and tradespeople making their way along the road into the city, because this leads into the market district. However, Hannibal, they do, like, as you come marching on up, both guards kind of...
Salutations.
They both just look at each other and then kind of shrug, and then one of them says, "Sir, are you looking for are you going to be needing to look for the university district?"
For what purpose?
I just sort of figured that's where you were going.
Should I go there?
I'm not gonna tell you, but never mind.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
This
Have a
is
good day.
Archimedes.
Have a good day, sir.
You as well.
All right. So you make your way into the city, and as that guard walks over to the other one, and as the other three of you approach up, you can hear them kind of like muttering to each other, and it's like, I thought all the freaky looking magicy people went to the university. Why? Where else would they be going? Is it a bad thing for me to assume? It's like, no, I thought the same thing. And they're just whispering to each other as you pass by into the city.
I'll like lean in and I'll be like, I don't know him, but if I did know him, I apologize on his behalf, but I don't know him. But if I did,
well, thank you very much.
you're doing a great job.
Are
Garvey.
they like behind me?
Yeah.
Friends, this way, come on.
I
Just look behind her.
I
like,
gotta-
"Oh, wonder who he's talking about.
who?
You guys, the four of you, standing right there by the guards. This way, come,
Well, there's
come.
not four of us. It's not talking to us.
3. Sorry, I can't count.
The two guards just look at the three of you and shake their heads and just, well, if you do know that one, just keep an eye on him,
I only have 4 fingers.
please. Just keep an eye on him.
Okay. Yeah.
Will do.
All right. And then they will let you into the city. Hannibal, you do not, from what you can tell, it looks like this is a different shift than the guards that you had issues with last time at the gates of the city.
So, where should we go? I very want to check out this bone grinder for just, scientific purposes. But where does the rest of you want to go? Perhaps.
As a quick reminder, you have not had a long rest since your encounter with the giant.
We haven't had a long rest since we fought that giant, so maybe nap time, and then we have a little excursion in the city. I'm very welcome at the inn nearby, so...
What time of day is it?
Let's see. You did everything at the. It was like around early morning when you did everything at the Enclave. You searched for a little bit, and it's like mid-afternoon by now.
Mid-afternoon.
So you just still have a good bit of day left before it's nighttime.
I say we explore the city some, and then we save Bone Grinder for maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe we don't do anything that might result in us getting hurt.
The bone grinder, if my calculations are correct in my brain, I think it's a sex club.
I'm gonna pass.
Because you grind bones?
Okay. Yeah.
It'd be a very good idea for me to go there and see what makes the organisms tick when... Anyways, so... Because I have no interest in that kind of thing, and I think it might be interesting to figure out why people are interested in such activities.
Can I insight check that for whether or not Hannibal is actually interested in that kind of thing?
You know what? Because I'm curious as well. I'll say yes.
Hell yeah! Oh my god, what's my insight? Okay, that's a 14.
All right. Well, either roll a deception check or just tell us if Hannibal's telling the truth.
He's telling the truth.
Okay. Yeah, it seems Hannibal seems completely truthful.
All right.
All right. So you have made your way now into the walls of the city, and this is the Silvergate district, which is the mercantile center of the city. It's the main entrance in, so this is a very wide street, paved with cobblestones. There's shops on either side of it, kind of crammed right up next to each other. Not a lot of frontage space, but it looks like these are just a lot of very narrow shops competing for space and attention on the main road into the city. And as it moves forward, Hannibal and Drusilla, you'd be aware that further up is where it opens up into the open markets, where there's just kind of a big area for stalls and smaller shops and awnings and places for people to hawk wares and sell things like produce. And, farmers can come in and sell their food and everything here. So, and the inn is a little further past that.
Sorry, just 1 second. My dog's being really annoying. I'm going to let him into the room.
Okay. Speaking of dogs, Moloch is poking out of your pocket, Hannibal, and is like sniffing around at everything and everybody as the streets are just filled with people. Like you're probably standing off to one. If you're standing still, you're probably standing off to one side because right in the middle of the street, be getting jostled on either side as people make their way to and from and entering and exiting the city.
Yes, Moloch, we are back.
And it starts both, or one of the mouths starts just like gnawing on the like edge of your pocket, and the other one just kind of starts like sniffing idly off to one side.
Say hi.
So, what do we do now then?
Do either of you know if there's a bulletin board, job postings of any kind? Whatever we're doing, wherever we're going, we'll need money.
The bone grinder.
We could talk to Lucas again.
I
Yes, if you could
would
talk
like to go
Lucas.
buy some armor. Personally.
I can make you armor out of
No,
skin.
thank you.
Okay. I offered.
I appreciate it. But yeah, I have some money, and because we were really close to leaving the enclave, and so we were getting ready, and yeah.
I have a brain and 10 toenails in my bag of holding.
You sure do, huh?
Not the weirdest thing you've had in there.
No, I had an entire body in there once.
It was wasn't it a gift one?
Yes, it's where I got the skull and the brain.
Mm-hmm. He would pull fingers out and feed it to Moloch.
Sid, can I talk to you over here for a second?
Yes, please. And it's gonna like wrap their arm kind of around your shoulder and like just walk off a little bit, just like we're done here.
Yeah.
Hey, you can walk over. There's a shop nearby. It looks like it sells hats. You can see a bunch of like frilly hats with feathers and everything, wide brims, sitting in the dusty glass in the shop front, and you can stand up next to the shop window as you talk to each other.
It's like, okay, like I get that our training was pretty revolved around being in a 4-person squad, and they've obviously been through the same training as us. But what the fuck? I don't know how to handle this.
I know. Just for the time being, we'll work with them. This is simply a matter of diplomacy. We work with them. We, for the time being, have the same goal. And when the time comes, we leave. It's as simple as that. So just, for the time being, smile, nod, move on.
Okay, I can do that.
Excellent. And Sid's gonna look around to see if he can see any sort of armor stall or shop.
Looking at this front section of the city and this main street with all of these shops right next to each other, looking around, you've actually probably spent the most time in what we would call civilization among the members of the party.
Excellent.
So as you're looking, you can, have a little bit more of a keen eye in these sort of things. It's a lot more crowded and there's a lot more hustle and bustle than you're used to. You're used to a lot more laid back kind of atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of commonalities and things you can notice, and you spot further down, you can see a sign sticking out that says Second Skin Armory with a little chest plate design drawn under the words on the sign.
Well, it looks like we can at least find you armor. And Sid's gonna point down the way.
Oh,
shall we?
Perfect. Yeah, let's go.
All right. We're gonna walk, and Sid will just kind of gesture back to Hannibal and Drusilla to follow.
But I want to go to the hat store.
Well,
We'll catch up with
the
you.
hat store.
I race to the hat store.
Okay, so as you're leaving, Sid and Ilvem, as you're leaving, Hannibal just pushes past you and runs into the hat store that you were standing next to. Okay. So Hannibal runs into the hat store, and the other two of you go over toward, or is Drusilla going with Hannibal into the hat store?
Gotta make sure Hannibal doesn't, I don't know, get kicked out of this one.
Okay, all right. So the two of you head into the hat store, and Sid and Ilvem go down the street towards the armory. Okay, so you get inside the hat store. There's a lot of just kind of like these almost cubby-like shelves set into the walls on either side. It's a very, very narrow shop, maybe like 10, 15 feet wide at the most. Very narrow and very long. And lots of basically there's kind of just pretty much just a wooden post with what appears to like be a ball on top of it that hats can sit on in these little cubbies so they can be on display. There's a couple that have more basic sort of almost like bowler hat type designs that are stacked on top of each other. And then the more opulent, larger ones get bigger cubbies and like have their own ones. So the less fancy ones are like stacked up wholesale, and the more fancy ones get their own section.
I take off my bowler hat for the first time in front of Drusilla.
For the first time, you've known each other for 2. You slept in the same room,
But I've never taken my hat off.
you slept with it on.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
So you see my thin like mohawk on the top of my head.
Drusilla, you realize you have known Hannibal for 2 years, and you have never seen him take his hat off.
So it's just essentially going to be like that side eye meme with it. Like,
Hello, proprietor.
Comes off. I didn't know it came off. From the back of the store, you see a drow man come kind of gliding forward, wearing a very wide tricorn hat with a big purple feather hanging out of it, off to one, artfully draped to one side.
That is a beautiful hat.
Well, thank you very much. How can I help you?
So as you can see, my bowler hat, it's a little ratty. I made it myself out of skin, and well, not really skin, but like leather from animals I harvested. Anyways, I'm looking for your most garish hat.
Our most garish hat. Well, that's quite a challenge.
Or
Let's see what we can find for you.
I could pay you to custom make me a very garish hat.
Well, that could certainly be done. What sort of thing do you have in mind? Do you have any design specifications?
Well, I kind of want to stand out, just so people notice me more. I feel like these ratty clothes aren't doing me justice. They're not showing off my intense personality.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a hat that is beautiful and garish at the same time could help me with that. So I'm thinking something bright and loud.
Bright and loud, yes. In terms of shape and design, are you thinking more of a round brim, tricorn, bicorn, something along those lines?
I'm thinking of kind of a hat that is very narrow on the sides, but kind of curvy and pointed at the front tip and curvy and pointed at the back tip.
All right, so kind of comes to
yes.
Narrow on the sides, but then longer on the front,
yes.
and then curved or pointed at the front and back.
Curved with a point.
So curved up and then to a point.
Yes.
And then would you like it to be? Would you like the sides to be tapered completely, or would you like them to be folded up to be flush with the head?
Folded up, of course.
All right, all right. In terms of decorations, anything around the trim or the edging?
Well, I think it would be wonderful to have it just adorned in feathers. Bright
covered
feathers.
in feathers.
Bright feathers.
Sticking out from under the brim, perhaps, on either side?
Yes, and then a large one on top.
Straight up, back, front, or off to one side?
Very much like the one on your hat, actually.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it.
It's beautiful. I love it. Thank you.
So off to one side. So perhaps sort of a nest of feathers.
A nest of feathers.
Leading up to one larger one that is the main presentation that droops off to one side. Oh, lovely. I like it.
And
I like the style.
Maybe the fabric could be dyed, possibly?
Oh, certainly. Let's talk fabric. Yeah, I have some bolts back here that I think you would love to see.
Oh, wunderbar.
Guides you into the back of the room where you can see just bolts of fabric rolled up and different types of felts and other things that you can get a feel for. Now, these ones are traditionally used for the outside, and over here we have linings. Let's talk linings.
Yes.
Now, they don't get seen, but the comfort is very important.
Oh, indeed. Look at the inside of this bowler hat. The comfort is beauteous, and I need more comfort on my head.
All right.
As you can see, I have a lot of head to conceal.
Would you like it more raised in the center to accommodate room for?
Yes, please, but I don't want it to make my head look abnormally large.
Of course. Well, I think we could use. I think the feathers could be used actually to conceal that part. It would make it.
Oh, yes.
With the amount of plumage that would be covering the middle there, I think that it wouldn't. We could make it be not even noticeable, but give you plenty of room.
Oh, that would be wunderbar. Yes.
All right. If you just wait for a second, I think I can sketch up a design for you while you take a look around the fabrics.
Wunderbar. Do I see any like red velvet?
Oh, definitely. Like several different types of like different qualities and densities.
Red velvet for the interior, I think.
Okay.
Then
as you're looking at that, he'll say, "We have regular velvet. We also have crushed velvet over there. If that would be of more interest to you. It's a slightly higher price, but the comfort is just so much more.
How much higher?
About half again is as much, but for a man of your taste, I think that it would certainly be worth it."
Wunderbar. Yes. Also, do you also know where I could get a new coat?
A new coat. I think I do. I have several tailors that I do business with. I could speak to them. Perhaps, if you would like, I could arrange, depending on how much you'd like to spend. I could perhaps. If depending on how much you'd like to spend for a sufficiently opulent coat in order to match with this hat, I'm sure that I know several tailors that would provide competing designs in order to win over your patronage.
Oh, wunderbar. Yes. I think we can worry about those terms.
All right.
After I get this beauteous hat.
Wonderful. Why don't you take a look at the fabric some more, and I will sketch up some designs so you can take a look at them.
Thank you.
Pleasure doing business with you. All right, and he'll go off and sit down at like a drafting table in the back and set out some parchment and start sketching in charcoal.
Okay.
All right. Drusilla, you've just watched Hannibal doing business with this haberdasher.
Drusilla understood none of those words. So after about the second one, she tuned out and just got a bowler hat from the stack and put it on and has been mimicking Hannibal for the past little bit.
Just like looking over at a mannequin and just like mimicking everything that Hannibal is doing. All right. There's some people some of the other people in the store who are looking at some of the hats are just like they put the hat back and walk out of the store. Okay. While you two are doing that and the owner of the store is putting together the designs, let's go over to Ilvem and Sid heading over to the Second Skin Armory.
Best friends.
Maybe pull back a little bit on that, if you don't mind.
Soon to be best friends.
Okay, I'll take it. Any idea what you're looking for?
Oh, I believe I'm looking for breastplate, but I don't think I have quite enough for breastplate. So maybe just a chain shirt or something. But we'll see what they have.
How much do you have?
I'm at 185 gold pieces.
Just gonna keep walking. Well, I don't have a lot, but I have a little bit, so if you need help with something and it's beneficial to our goal, then I would be willing to assist you as I can.
Well, that's very nice of you, Sid.
Please don't call me that.
Very nice of you, friend.
No, it's worse now.
So we're gonna go back to Sid.
Okay.
Jack. I can't hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you just fine.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Do I look like a Jack?
I think you could be a Jack.
I'm not sure how to feel about that.
All right, so the two of you have made your way up to the door. There's a fairly heavy oak door set in the front of this place, and it is closed, but it looks like you can see activity inside.
Let's go on in.
Okay. You head inside, and you can see that this place has several, almost like, it's kind of organized into like alcoves, and actually goes up to a second floor balcony where you can see other things, and kind of looks like more of a workshop area upstairs. But running along the wall, it's kind of almost like a very narrow horseshoe shaped, almost like if you cut a paperclip in half, where it kind of curves at the very end. And you can see that there's like a brass track attached along the outside, and you can see why when you see the one that appears to be the owner of the shop, a soot-stained and goggle-wearing gnome woman who is standing up on a, like, you know, those like library ladders that like slide along the track. She's standing up on one of those, and there appears to be some kind of mechanism that drives it along the track. So she kind of like hops up and pulls the lever and just she like skates along, like hanging onto the ladder. It swings along the outside and comes up to one of the alcoves where you can see a set of armor up on a mannequin that's being assembled, and she takes a pauldron and like climbs up the ladder to shoulder height and attaches it on and starts like fitting it and making markings on it with a like what appears to be some kind of like piece of charcoal or something that can make markings on the metal as she starts fitting it.
That's so sick.
Excuse me.
Oh, what? Oh, hello. Be with you in a second. She
Okay.
makes a few more markings and then holds it up to the light, and then kind of takes one of the straps and hooks it onto a hook on the side of the ladder, and then grabs on the lever and comes up next to you, and then stops and then clambers down off the ladder. And she's like at waist height when she looks up at you and picks her goggles above her head and looks up at both of you. Hello, how can I help you?
Oh, hi. I was looking to just buy some armor.
Well, you came to the right place. Have a specific kind you're looking for?
Well, I not necessarily specifically. I'm looking for something a little bit more protective. And my friend Vicky, she said that a breastplate would probably be the best bet. But you know, I don't have that much money available to me currently.
All right. So nothing custom. She takes out like reaches into the leather apron she's wearing and pulls out a little piece of measuring tape and kind of comes up and starts measuring, just kind of not like wrapping it around or anything, but like kind of standing at a respectful distance, but holding up and kind of closing one eye to look at you and just get an idea of proportions and everything. Yeah, I think you'd fit just fine in one of my stock pieces. So what do you look at? What kind of, you said breastplate?
I mean, potentially, maybe just a chain shirt. I don't know.
Chain shirt's easier to fit. If you need to, I could resize it too easily. That's as simple as just popping off a few of them and reattaching them. Breastplate's a bit harder. You need to either shorten some straps or cut off some metal. But I can do either. I have either of those in stock. So, which would you prefer?
What are the price points?
Price point. Well, breastplate, stock one off the shelf, would run you about 400 gold pieces. Chainmail though would be closer to 50.
Yeah. Okay. What's your policy on haggling? Do we haggle? Is that a thing?
She just kind of points out the window. You can see the number of people walking by, and you can see a couple other people. She says, "I just want you to look at all that. Look at all them. Look at all these people. I do a lot of business in a day. I don't have time to haggle. Those are my prices. If you don't like it, there's other shops further uptown that don't have a sweet spot as this for the shop. I'd probably love to haggle with you, but I've got other customers that are willing to pay full price. So
Okay. Here's the thing: is that
Uh-huh.
I don't have 400 gold pieces, but
all right.
I do have almost half of that, and a team of very powerful adventurers who would love to like do a job for you, maybe if you have one that you need some adventurers for. If you don't, I'll just take the chain shirt.
Tell you what, we get a lot of adventurers coming through here, coming in for the bone grinder, but I hear that a lot. Not a lot to actually offer. I don't really keep, jobs like that on the top of my head, but let me tell you what, I'll think about it. I'll give you the chain shirt for now. If I find anything needs doing, though, anyway, I can get in contact with you, and maybe we can barter for a breastplate in return.
Yes. We don't have a room yet anywhere. We just got into town. But I'll come back as soon as we have a room somewhere and let you know where you can find us.
All right. Seems like a deal. See if anything doing. I've got biggest thing I can think of is looking for any sort of exotic pieces, exotic parts, exotic metals, exotic materials, that sort of thing that I could turn into armor, carapaces maybe.
Yeah, that's definitely something we could keep an eye out. You did mention the bone grinder.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty intimidating sounding. What's that?
Oh, you're not in town for that. Oh, sorry. Most adventuring types that come into town come through here are heading that way, heading over to the walk for that. It's up north of the main river over on the walk. It's this big thing. You go into it. No one really knows where it came from, but from what people tell me, you go in, take the elevator down, take the lift down into the earth, and then you go in, and it's, from what I hear, it's different every time. There's things in there that want to kill you, but you can find all sorts of fancy stuff in there: money, jewels, gems, jewelry, magic stuff too. From what I hear, there's like a whole industries around it. Bunch of shops, a bunch of places set up just outside the entrance, catering to all sorts of types like yourself that want to go in and try their luck. If you die, you die. That kind of happens. We think maybe actually the things that people bring in when they die might become the rewards that people get when they go in later. So that might be where all the stuff that people get comes from. We're not really sure where it all comes from or how it works. But people keep going in there and trying it out. So, business is business.
Yeah.
So is it just a competition of sorts?
I suppose so. It kind of, no one really controls it. It just sort of does it on its own. Probably magic would be my guess. Blame everything on that. Magic.
How long has the bone grinder been operating? Do you know?
Longer than anyone. No, I think the city might have been built around it. I think that might be why we're here.
Definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Unless you have any other questions, Ilvem, perhaps we should see to getting that shirt.
Yes, let's do the shirt for sure.
All right. Extra. I can give you a stock one for 50. Throw in 5 more gold, 55, and I can fit it to you.
I will very happily do that.
All right. Step in the back right over here. And she points you over towards, there's a kind of open alcove with mirrors set around it that looks like it's almost like a fitting / viewing, like, place to try stuff on.
Noted.
Okay.
I go there.
All right. She clambers up the ladder and opens up like there's like the railing kind of opens up into gates in a couple of places at the top. So she swings one open and clambers up onto the second floor and rummages around for a bit and then comes back down onto the ladder. And you can see she's got like a bundle of chainmail over her shoulder, and she grabs the lever and then just turns it and then slides on over to you. When she gets over there, you can see that she's got what appears to be like a harness on underneath a leather apron, and she like takes there's like a metal clip attached to a rope that she clips onto the ladder and then swings around to the underside of it, so she's facing you. So she's kind of like dangling, like angled Mission Impossible style over you as she takes the chain shirt and drapes it over your head, and fits your arms through it and everything, and then kind of is like using it to move up and down on the like underside of the ladder facing you as she takes, and then she goes to one side where it's pretty much open on the left side, like it hasn't been attached yet, and she just kind of finds a good fit at each of the rows and then like attaches it. In some of them, there's like in a couple places it's like a little bit loose, so there's some of the rows hang off a little bit, and then she clips those off. And a few places that needs to be cinched a little tighter, or there's they don't quite meet and it's a little tight, so she takes some spare pieces and then adds more links on just in the one place and kind of fits it around. And then after a fairly short order, it's fairly snug and pretty comfortable. She seems to have some specialized tools for like opening and closing chainmail links, so goes by pretty quick. And then you've got this very comfortable chain shirt on. You can move in it very well. It's very, very flexible. And she says, as she swings herself over to the other side of the ladder and unclips herself, she says, "There you go. Fitted like that. You could probably fit it under a tunic or something, any sort of loose outer garment, and that'll fit nicely underneath it if you need to be discreet, conceal it, or if you just don't want to have a big bunch of shiny chain on the outside of your clothes."
Thank you so much. It's very, very well made.
Well, yes, it is. Now, that would be 55 gold pieces, please.
All right, here you go.
Thank you. And she takes that and stuffs it into another pouch on one of her. She's got practically like a carpenter's utility belt on also. Nice doing business with you. And how can I help you? And then slides along the wall over to somebody else.
Well, I'm feeling more secure now.
Certainly look more secure. I actually have interest in possibly finding a tailor, if you'd be willing to walk with me.
Of course. I would love to.
All right. Then Sid will walk back out onto the street and see if he can spot a tailor or any sort of place that specializes in clothes and things.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can find several places that look like they've got clothing of various kinds. Given the density of shops here, it looks like they get pretty specialized. So you can find, you'd probably, if you wanted to get a full outfit, it would most likely be either something further into the city, or you'd have to go shop to shop. You get boots here, get outerwear like a jacket or something here, get more shirt and pants kind of thing at this shop. It's all kind of spread out into specialized areas.
Okay. Sid's specifically looking for a place that probably specializes in outerwear. Anything with leather and stuff. Okay.
Oh, so a leather shop would be there. There'd also be a leather shop as well.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is basically looking for because the trench coat that he currently has is pretty tattered on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of looking for like a fix-it-up shop, basically.
Oh, the kind of place that would be able to not necessarily make a new one, but we'd be able to repair it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can look around for one of those. While you're heading towards that, we'll go back to Hannibal and Drusilla in the hat shop. Hannibal, as you're looking at the fabrics, the drow comes over and shows you a couple of designs, a couple of drawings. There's ones that are more of a bicorn hat style, where it's pointed in the front and the back and then arches up in a hump in the middle over your head, but then with a bunch of feathers coming up over the middle.
Kind of like a Robin Hood-esque hat?
More like an admiral's hat.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
Did you get my picture I sent you?
I did,
I'm
yeah.
looking for? Cool.
Yeah. So then there's a couple like that, and then there's you do see ones that look like that, basically a wide brim that's a little, it's pointed in the back, but not as much, but very pronounced point in the front, but more of a brim than an admiral's hat, which is kind of just completely folded in half. Very tall top in the middle, kind of comes to a point, and then the sides are folded up, and then widens out to more of a flat brim in the back with that giant feather, but then almost again like a nest of feathers around the middle top part.
Oh, wunderbar. And I point to that design.
This one right here?
That one.
Wonderful. You have excellent taste. I could certainly... And let's talk materials. So what did you find anything that was to your liking?
Yes. How many gold pieces or money would it cost for the crushed velvet?
Crushed velvet on the inside. Well, and what were you thinking for the exterior of it?
Either velvet as well or suede.
Ooh, suede is an excellent choice. And I could certainly add in. I'm assuming that you are a person that spends some time in the elements as well, or
lately, yes.
All right. We can add in some. I can have one of the shop hands waterproof it as well.
Oh, wunderbar.
All right, just add in a bit of a wax rub to it.
Yes.
All right. Excellent. Well, with all of that, think about it. You see him doing like mental calculations and thinking about the amount of fabric needed, the amount of work, the types of feathers, all of that stuff. Do you have any preferences on the larger feather? Fluffy, peacock, colorful, single color, multiple?
Peacock could be fun. Yes.
They are lovely. It's a very striking design.
Yes.
All right. Peacock feather. All right. I think I could make this all work for the custom job. 20 gold pieces.
20 gold pieces? Oh, wunderbar. As for the color of the hat, though.
Yeah. Oh yes. We can dye it whatever color we desire.
Could you dye it 2 colors?
2 colors. Well, yeah, of course. Yes.
So I kind of want it split down the middle.
Oh, left and right.
Yes.
All right.
It's so left. I would like it to be sort of a bright green, almost like a lime green.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other half, maybe a sort of banana yellow.
Green and yellow. Oh, we can certainly do that. It'll take a bit of doing to do that. The line will be very crisp down the middle, but it will take. I have a few contractors that work here that have some more magical talents in order to get something that precise. So that would bring the price up in order to hire them on. It would be a quick job, so wouldn't take too much, but that would raise the price with materials and everything to 35 gold pieces.
Excellent. And as for the other feathers, the nest feathers, what were you thinking of using?
Well, there's a variety of more downy sort of feathers from larger animals, and particularly some waterfowl, perhaps swan, for example.
Oh, yes.
Especially given your tendency to be out in the elements, waterfowl feathers would be much more resistant to like rain and weathering, for example.
That is very true, yes.
So that is what I was thinking, and factoring into the price.
I dropped 35 gold on the counter.
It is a pleasure doing business with you. I will have my team working on this right away for you. Right away.
And how long do you think that should take? Like, when should I come back?
I think this could be ready for a customer such as yourself. I will be dedicating an entire section of the workshop to it. It does take some time to get the specialized contractors in there, so a few days, perhaps 3 or 4 to be safe.
Wunderbar. My name is Hannibal.
Hannibal, yes, all right. Is there a place I can find you if it's done early?
Well, you see, here's a predicament. I may have been kicked out of the nearby inn. So...
A misunderstanding, I'm sure.
It was a very big misunderstanding. I don't think they appreciated me trying to use magic to increase my enjoyment of my room.
You said you were staying in an inn in this section of town, yes?
I think we were.
I see. Well, this is this part of town is nice. It's good for shopping, but it's sort of a touristy part as well. The The inns sort of cater to out-of-town people, for example. You know, it's not necessarily the nicest. Between here and the walk along the river, you'll probably get the sort of inns that just want people to come in and out and don't cater to someone with your sort of needs. However, if you were looking for a nicer place to stay, that would fit your, if I dare say, your sense of style.
Oh, thank you very much.
Perhaps have you spent much time in town?
Not really. We spent a decent amount of time in town before. But we left in quite a hurry.
I see. Have you? So you haven't had much time to explore the other districts.
No, not really. No.
All right, I understand. So, the northernmost, the centralmost and northernmost district within the walls, of course, is known as the Barricades, and that is it's generally referred to as the entertainment district.
Oh, wunderbar!
And that is the sort of place that knows how to cater to someone with your sense of style. So perhaps if you're looking for a place to stay that would not be averse to someone of your level of eccentricity, then that would be the place to look.
I get that a lot. What is the name of this establishment?
Where are my manners? We have not done introductions. Money is on the table without introductions being done. I am terribly sorry, sir. My name is Quilvir, and this is First Impressions Haberdashery.
Quilvir?
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. I don't mean to be rude, but my question was, what was the name of the inn you mentioned? But it is probably good to know your name and the name of this place as well.
I apologize so much, sir. I can think of a few off the top of my head, although there are many in that section of town, depending on your interests, and many of them double as something else. There are a few, anything from a nice cabaret up to more, shall we say, I'll just say that the entertainment can either be is either found in the tap room or in your room, depending on the type of inn you go to.
I don't see how entertainment could be in my room, but that is interesting to note. Thank you very much.
Perhaps a cabaret, then?
That could be fun. Yes, a cabaret.
Well, the most famous one in the Barricades, of course, is the Onyx Cat.
The Onyx Cat.
The Onyx Cat Cabaret, yes.
That is where we are going to stay.
All right. Well, I do hope you enjoy it there. The owner is a personal friend of mine. Well, I like to think so anyway.
Personal friends are good.
Indeed they are.
Well, thank you much again. This hat is going to be the best thing I've ever purchased. Aside from Moloch here.
Oh, look at you. Oh, there's two. Oh, there's sort of two of you. Well, that is fascinating.
Can we get a hat for Moloch?
Moloch doesn't want to wear a hat. I don't like people who put hats on their animals.
Just think how cute he would look with
Moloch,
two little hats.
do you want a hat, Moloch? No, Moloch does not want a hat. He wants to tear apart his prey.
Excuse you, I can speak to animals, and I think he says he wants a hat.
Anyways, thank you so very much.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure. It's been remarkable getting to meet you and do business with you, and I hope to see you again very soon.
And apologies for my grandmother. She sometimes says things that are just a little... Thank you, and I walk out the store.
Okay.
This is like, who's his grandmother? Like,
I should go get my staff ready to work on this design, and he just turns and walks into the back.
Oh, oof.
Oh my god.
Moloch, this is going to be the best hat I've ever gotten, and I put the bowler hat back on.
Okay. All right, and you step out into the afternoon daylight, busy main street leading into the city. As you come out, you can see, you can see Sid and Ilvem leaving the armory a little further down the street, making their way across. Ilvem has got a very shiny, brand new chain shirt on that catches the light and glints and glimmers, and kind of reflects some of the halo light as well.
What was the names again? Bill. Velma.
Sid does not respond.
That must not have been the names.
Oh,
You do hear the unmistakable German accent of Hannibal shouting from down the street.
Sid still does not respond.
Bill. Velma.
It's probably just gonna get worse.
Friends.
I'll like wave.
Hello.
You're getting a bunch of weird looks because you're like 60 feet apart, and there's a bunch of people like milling and walking and back and forth in between you, just like.
Sid is just doing like the nope.
making your way across the street over to the.
Making my way downtown.
Yeah, Ilvem's
Walking
like
fast,
walking
faces fast.
backwards, like keeping up with Sid and just yelling like, "We're going to a tailor's."
Oh, wonderful. I want to go to a tailor as well. Let's go. And I chase after them down the street.
Okay.
I do want to say Drew put the bowler hat back before she left the store. She didn't steal the bowler hat.
I figured, yeah. So you make your way over. You just put it back on the shelf and then leave and follow Hannibal in there. So you're all heading over towards you're heading over towards a leather worker's shop, right?
Yeah, some sort of fix-it-up place for my coat.
Okay. This one's you have to go a bit further down the street before you can find one. Because you find a couple leather worker shops, you stop in, talking to a few people. A lot of them will do things like customizations and tailoring of leather work, but there's not a lot of them that have the capacity to do repairs. Until you manage to find your way over to one, basically the end of the street where it turns into an intersection, just right on the corner. In this really kind of awkward, it's one of those awkward shops where the door is like right next to another one, and it doesn't have any windows or anything. And if you're not looking for it, you would probably miss it, and just kind of painted into the glass over the door. You can see the name of the shop, Hunter's Friend Leather Supplies, just kind of painted in like an arch over like the window, like over the door. And it's like just the door, like stuck between two other shops.
Look open.
It doesn't appear to be locked, and you can probably, it's the middle of the day, so you don't like see light coming from the inside or anything.
Okay.
Let's go in.
I'm gonna open the door, but then also knock.
Okay. As you knock and open the door, you can see that it opens up into a staircase that leads up to the second floor.
All right. I will climb the staircase.
Okay. So you go up the stairs, and it's one of those things like it kind of hooks around a few times and leads into a space above the other shops. This probably does not get a lot of traffic because it has very, very little street appeal. But as you make your way up to the top, it kind of opens up into what appears to be sort of like a leatherworking workshop. There's not like a store aspect to it. You're kind of just like right in somebody's studio. But it does have you're on the entire corner in the second floor. This appears to be completely over the corner shop. So there's windows lining 2 complete walls, and you can look out and see pretty much this entire street and intersection from this spot. And it has a lovely view from up here. And you can see all sorts of benches and tables and things with tools and leatherworking supplies. And there's like racks where leather is stretching, and there's a couple places where it's drying. There's even it looks like a little balcony where there's some recently stretched leather drying outside in the wind. And you can see a woman with her dark hair pulled back into a tight bun behind her head, leaning over a table with a very sharp leatherworking knife, deftly cutting out a pattern from a piece of leather. You can see that her ears are a little bit pointed, but not in like an elfy kind of way. There's a bit more of a curve to them than like an elven point. And there's just like something about her appearance just like immediately makes you think that like if you were to compare this person to an animal, the animal would be wolf. And when she looks up at you as all of you enter, you can see that her eyes are a sort of golden yellow color.
Would Drusilla recognize any of us?
You actually would probably, given your background and just the people that you would have known growing up, you would be able to recognize a shifter. So a person who very far back in their family has some sort of lycanthropy background that has long since kind of been diluted to the point of basically not a lycanthrope anymore, but just enough of the traits still left over. And as she looks up, she just says, "Hello and welcome to my shop. How can I help you?"
Yes, I was wondering if you might be able to do some leather repair. And Sid's gonna sort of gesture to the coat. The inside lining is still fairly intact, but the outside, as you can see, is pretty tattered and worn, and I'd like to repair it if that's possible.
I could do that. Would you like? She stands up and makes her way over and may I? As she looks at the edge of the coat.
Yes, of course.
She picks it up in her hands and kind of feels the material between her fingers, and looks at it. You can see her hands are like stained with leather stain and dye and the kind of chemicals you use to work with leather. In like weird splotches, but she pulls it aside and looks at it. You're right, the lining is very nice, but yes, this leather will need some work. I could attempt to repair the leather with patches, though that would create a visible mark. With this level of damage, I would recommend replacing the leather entirely and just salvaging the interior.
Is that something that you can do, that you'd be willing to do?
No, certainly. Yes, this is what my shop does.
All right. And what price point are we looking at?
Well, that depends on it. Just to replace the leather and return it to, and she's about to say something, then she knows because it's got kind of like a nice golden, like you said, inlay along the edge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
the inside is super nice and just like golden and very detailed.
But is that just the inside, or is there like the edging on the outside also as well?
It's just the inside.
Oh, just the inside. Okay.
Yeah.
She says, well, in order to just replace the leather, that would be fairly simple. Especially if you leave it behind, I can essentially use it as a pattern, so it would be very quick to cut out and sew. I would say no more than 10 gold pieces just to replace. Though I could, if you wanted me to make the outside match the interior a bit more, or perhaps add any sort of embellishments or enhancements to it, I could do that for an increased price as well.
I appreciate the offer, but I think just the replacement will do. And
All right.
Of course, I can leave the coat here.
That would be very helpful, yes.
All right, 10 gold pieces, you said?
Indeed, yes.
All right, and I will hand that over, and I will take off the coat.
Okay.
And, sorry, I don't know if I caught your name.
My name is Rill.
Rill.
Well, Rill. R-I-L-L.
R-I.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this reminds me of something, actually.
Oh, does it?
I point to a hole in my coat and cast Mending on it.
Yes, that is a very nice skill to have.
That's better. Oh, do you know anyone who can make custom coats?
I can make a custom coat if it is leather.
I don't like leather. Thank you. Okay, sorry. You can continue your business now. Bill.
That is not my name. Anyway.
No, your name's real. That's Bill.
Oh, your name is Bill.
No, that's incorrect. Sidhariel Wayfarer, and I stick out my hand to shake.
Very nice to meet you.
Pleasure, and thank you for repairing my coat. I look forward to seeing it. How long do you think that this would take?
For this, I am not terribly busy, so a day.
Fantastic. I will see you in a day then.
Look forward to it.
So it's
Alright.
much quicker than my hat.
Yes, but Hannibal, look at what you got on your hat.
Yes, it's going to be beauteous.
It's gonna be something.
Oh, fellow siblings, I may have found us a beautiful place to stay. It's called the Onyx Cat Cabaret.
Okay.
It's a very nice, beautiful place, the man I talked to said.
Right?
Drew, is that true?
I wasn't paying attention, to be honest.
It's a beautiful place to stay, and then we can go check out this bone grinder.
Okay.
And get lots of experience.
Well, sure.
Beautiful,
Let's.
or is it pricey?
Well, he said it was beautiful. I didn't ask for a price. But most places don't charge too much to spend the night, I can imagine.
We can check it out, right? That would be the diplomatic thing to do.
Keep an open mind and an open personality.
All right, we'll go check out this cabaret.
So you mentioned there's places that have entertainment in your room, but I don't know what that means, so I
Mhm.
didn't ask about it.
Oh my god. All right. I assume we're out of the shop at this point.
I think you're saying this on your way, on your way down the stairs, yeah.
My new hat is going to be glorious.
You said that.
Ilvem just like
I'm sorry,
smiles and
who-
nods.
I'm sorry. Who gave you this information?
The owner of the hat store. His name is... Hold on a second as I go into my mind bank. Kirkland.
Right. And you said that he said that there can be entertainment in your room?
I don't know if that's the place, because I didn't ask about it, because I don't know what that means. But it might be. He said it's a cabaret, whatever that means as well. I've
Sid's
never
gonna-
been to a cabaret.
Sid's gonna look at Drusilla with just kind of like raised eyebrows, like, is this for real?
I don't know what a cabaret is either.
Oh my god.
Is it like a drink or something?
Oh, I don't partake in alcohol.
Maybe it's a non-alcohol drink.
Maybe it's a type of pants.
Maybe.
I
Maybe
have-
it's a type of cat.
I have a wisdom of 8.
Sid's gonna look at Ilvem. Please tell me that you know what a cabaret is.
I definitely know what a cabaret is.
I didn't...
Insight check?
So, your enclave had one of these cabarets? Oh.
I would like to insight check Ilvem.
All
Ilvem actually knows.
my room had was just experiments. and
No.
annoying artifices.
That's a 7.
Well, I
As
was
far as you
thinking-
can tell, I am telling the truth because I wrote much better than that.
Yeah, totally. Ilvem's with you on the whole cabaret thing. Ilvem knows what a cabaret is.
So,
You're totally not the only one.
so maybe we go check out this cabaret and possibly get rooms so we have somewhere to stay. It'll make the purchases, if people, they know where we are, they give it to us while we're there. It's the coat that you did, and my hat, my nice hat.
I can't say that we'll be staying there, but you need to see a cabaret.
What is a cabaret?
Nope, no questions. We're going.
I still think it's a type of pants.
I want to say it's a type of drink.
Prepare for an experience.
I think it's an experience. Wait, no, I know it's an experience.
To the Onyx Cat Cabaret then.
Okay. So you start heading in that direction. You can pull out that old like crumpled map that your old innkeeper drew for Aja on the bar at one time, which I posted in chat and in the Discord, which is a fairly accurate representation of what the town looks like. It's got all the districts on it.
Is it stained with blood?
Maybe that depends on who's been carrying it.
Drusilla, who's been carrying this map, you or me?
I think actually Aja had it originally, so probably Aja gave it to you when she left.
So
Probably
not me.
not. Question: is it stained with other bodily fluids? Say, perhaps poop grease.
Oh,
Because it was like safely put away when that happened.
Okay.
But actually, Aja might have bought it after that happened. Now that I think about it, I'm trying to remember when that happened.
So no poop grease.
Chat said that hat's gonna give me disadvantage on all stealth checks. I hope so. It better. Better. To the cabaret.
Yes. So, one second. So you start heading in that direction. Drusilla's got the map out. Sid and Ilvem, you can look down and like over Drusilla's shoulder if you want, and see the map. When I posted it there, you can see all of the different districts and everything. And it's like this has been like there's a piece of parchment that looks like an innkeeper took it and with a quill really quick just sketched out the general shape of the city. It's got this river that cuts it kind of in half and then splits around the Silvergate district. So the Silvergate district is kind of cut off from the rest of the city by the river, but there are bridges leading over it. So you head through the pretty much length of the Silvergate district. And you go through the riverfront district where Hannibal and Drusilla, you would know that further up in this district is where you meet with Lucas or have met with Lucas on a regular basis in his office in the cistern. But you take it, instead of continuing that way, you take a right and enter into the northernmost district known as the Balacades, which as soon as you get into this section of town, it is immediately apparent that you're like some of the other districts, it's not quite as stark a difference. Hannibal and Drusilla, you spend some time in the Midtown district, which is probably it's kind of like the area where the locals live, and the difference between there and some of the other ones around it is not immediately apparent. As soon as you enter into the Balacades, you know you are there. The buildings are suddenly much more colorful. Everything tends to be painted in very warm colors, a lot of like reds and like deep purple, like magentas, like more of a reddish side of purple, golds, bright colors. Everything is very, very well maintained on the outside at the very least. There's strings of like paper lantern, I suppose paper lanterns, like fairy lights, basically draped across the streets on the main thoroughfares. And since as you've gotten to this point, the sun is starting to set, so the streets are basically illuminated with these strings of lights crisscrossing over the streets. Many of the buildings open up to balconies, and you can see people standing up on the balconies, and pretty much the entire place you can see just filled with inns and places of entertainment like theaters and music halls. You can hear music pouring out of the doorways of pretty much nearly every building that you pass, at least on these main thoroughfares. It looks like it gets a little quieter and darker further away from the main pathways through the city, through this section of the city, like where the people that work and operate here actually live. But for the most part, on these main thoroughfares, it is a happening place. You can hear music from a bunch of different places. You can see musicians on street corners playing. People are laughing and drinking. And there's card games on tables right on street corners. There's people hanging over balconies, shouting down things to each other, talking, drinks in hand. And it just looks like one big party.
This place is
Wide eye.
This place is beauteous.
Ilvem
Do you think
is
this is where Reggie
immediately
is?
delighted.
I have other thoughts where Reggie is. But he might be here.
Well, this seems like where he would go. There's music. He liked music.
Reggie! No, he's not here.
Also,
Was there
Ilvem's
any
gonna
response?
start playing their flute.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Start playing a tune on it.
No,
Yeah.
No music.
Okay. What style of musical of flute are you playing?
It's like very much like March of the Bees type deal, you know? Like it's like fast and like a little frantic and just like excited.
Okay. All right. So it's like a fast and frantic kind of thing. You pass by some people, and as you're passing by some of the, people on the streets, like a couple of them come up next to you and like are trying to dance to the music, but like it's so frantic that they're having a little bit of trouble finding the beat, but they end up just like laughing and stumbling over each other and then waving you goodbye as they go back to their friends.
I think everyone here is under the influence.
Is this what a cabaret is?
Yes.
Hasn't even started yet.
You make your way up the street, and you're kind of realizing that you got the name of this place, but don't necessarily know where to find it. And you've kind of just been following this main thoroughfare through the district, hoping for the best. And it does actually turn out well, because eventually you come up to a point where the street splits into like a Y. One part of it goes left, part of it goes right. And you're trying to decide where to go until you look up and see that the block in front of you, like in the angle, like that the two streets basically part around. You're looking at the corner of a building with two very large sets of open glass doors, up a set of steps, and over it, surrounded by candles, is a very large sign with sort of the black silhouette of a cat, and in very large letters lit by candlelight that looks like it's probably they have to be replaced fairly frequently to keep this up. It says the Onyx Cat, and the entire sign, like around the edges, you can see candle wax sort of having dripped down. It looks like that probably has to get scraped off fairly regularly, and you can see inside. It looks like a very, very large building. There's a balcony up on top that runs behind the sign, and you can see other rooms and things like that. And then this front area, it looks like this side of the building is just a very large front room with a vaulted ceiling that the balcony kind of looks out over.
The flute playing just kind of like tapers off, like as they just like look up and then like, wow.
So a cabaret is a building.
With lots of candles.
And cats.
Do you think cabaret is another word for candle?
Yes.
No.
It's just gonna walk forward
Okay.
into the building.
All right, so you go into the building. And you enter into this just massive front room, huge ceiling with multiple chandeliers hanging from up top, lighting the room. It's kind of set up in tiers, like around the outer side of the around the outside of the building, it's a little higher up, and then you kind of step down, and then a step down into sort of the main floor that looks out over, or looks forward towards what appears to be a giant stage. With full-on curtains and everything, like full proscenium stage, raised up and everything. Lights done probably by magic or candlelight. You can't see from this distance. And at all of the tables, there's people sitting and talking and enjoying each other's company. And at the very, very back, opposite from the stage, you can see a very large bar. Where there's multiple people working and chatting up with customers, and various colored bottles across the back of the room. And then you can see other tables up on the balcony as well, and then doors that lead deeper into the building past the stage on either side of it.
Is there anyone sort of manning the front?
It looks at this point like it's kind of just a seat yourself kind of situation. And you can see on stage currently is a group of musicians playing some music. You've got a few, it's kind of a combination of of musicians. You've got some string players, like someone on the lute, someone on the violin, and then a few people on like the wind instruments, like the flute and the horn, that are kind of just playing out a sort of like just what is intended to be background music at this point, just sort of a pretty mellow tune that is just, nice. You can bop your head to it, but it does not inspire dancing immediately.
All right, Sid's going to turn to the rest of the group. Shall we find a table?
I see many tables. No need to find them.
Shall we go pick a table to sit at?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. Does there look like there are any tables for 4 people?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Either close to the stage or up on the balcony.
Yeah, the stage looks like it'd be closer to the stage. Looks like it'd be easier to find. The stairs up to the balcony are a little more off the side and a little more out of your way, but you can find your way over there as well.
Ilvem would go and plant themselves like right down as close to the stage as possible.
Okay. So you can find a nice round table with a white tablecloth over it, a little candle holder on it, 4 chairs seated around it, very close up to the stage.
So
any drinks before the show begins?
I don't drink alcohol. I wonder if they have spoiled milk.
Yeah, I'm also not allowed to drink alcohol.
I choose not to.
Says who?
Someone.
Who?
Just this person I know. Says it's not becoming.
I hope I'm not the oldest one here.
I also hope you're not the oldest one here.
How old are you, Hannibal?
Well, I guess age is subjective. Grantar said I was 39. So do with that what you will.
Oh my god, you might actually be the oldest one here.
How old Drusilla is.
Well, Drusilla?
Hmm?
Do you drink?
Water, yeah.
Well, normally I don't drink. But if I'm going to be sitting here with 3 other people who don't, then I will need a drink. I'm going to get up and go to the bar.
Okay.
Can you see if they have fermented milk?
Nope.
I'll see.
Sid keeps walking.
Thank you, Drusilla.
Drusilla's gonna follow.
Can I get some juice?
Okay.
I think I have juice in
Thank
my
you.
bag of holding.
No, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, in the bag of holding.
Brain juice.
Ugh.
The huge no.
Okay. So was it just Sid that's going over to the bar?
No, Drusilla's coming too.
Oh, Drusilla's going to. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The 2 of you make your way back over the long hallway, or the long open room over to the bar in the back, where you can see several people working. The bartender appears to be open. You step up to is the most noticeable of all of them, and appears to be the one that gets stuff off the top shelves, because they are like 7.5 feet tall. And you see wearing a sort of bright purple tunic, belted with a few pouches that look like you can see that he's putting like coins into them, kind of like almost like a mobile cash register on him. You see a very large, Drusilla, you could recognize a furbolg, standing behind the counter. Like he turns around to grab a bottle off the top shelf and bring it down to one of the other bartenders and hand it to them. And he's got kind of slick back brown hair that's tied into a ponytail in the back, and a neatly trimmed chin strap beard. And he turns over and sees you, and then like leans down. There's kind of like a top part over the bar in the front that kind of frames it as you step up to it, that for anybody else is not an issue, but he has to kind of like duck down underneath it and then leans on the bar, which to him is like waist level. And to you is probably about like up to, well, on Drusilla is like up to here. On Sid is like, you know, somewhere at like the mid torso level. But he leans down and just goes, "Well, hi there. How can I help you?"
Your finest house Chardonnay, if you don't mind.
Oh, all right. Fine. Well, I suppose you are. The owner would say finest is subjective. So, do you have a preference on any of the hints or notes in that? Well, we've got. Let me see here. And he turns around and starts looking around and very delicately plucking some bottles off the top and bringing them down, and setting them up in a line. There's like 5 of them. Some very well-made green glass bottles with corks set in them and wax melted over the top to kind of seal them in. And they're marked by just a few things etched into the outside, which is fairly common for things that are not like mass produced. Like labels tend to be put on for the more commonly produced ones, but for something that is probably, you would know, small batch, just etched into the glass would be a lot more common because they don't want to spend the time on paper and labels when they're only making a small amount. And he goes across for each of them. The markings are kind of hard to read, but it looks like he can identify them. Just go, "Well, you got this set them up here in order from more of the sweeter to the more tart kind of thing, and these ones in the middle, this one's a bit more dry but also a bit more sweet," and kind of just goes through the flavor profiles of each of them, pointing at them, rattling these off the top of his head.
How much for a glass of the sweet?
Ooh, the sweetest one. Oh, well, for a glass of this one, this is a special batch here, but for a glass of that, run you about 5 gold pieces.
All right. I will hand over the 5. A glass of the sweetest, then.
All right, thank you very much. He takes out flips a very small knife, not necessarily a knife, basically a bottle opener off his belt. It's got a tiny little hooked blade, like that bit, like shorter than his thumb on it, kind of hooked and curved, that he takes out and very deftly puts it to the neck of the bottle and then rotates it around and cuts the wax off the top, pops it off, and then pulls open a corkscrew, twists it in, and then there we go, pulls the cork out, and then immediately goes into kind of like sommelier mode and pulls a rag out from underneath the counter, drapes it over his arm, and then pours the wine into the glass, and then wipes the mouth of the bottle on the rag over his arm. Looks clean, and then puts the cork back in and then slides the glass across the counter to you.
Okay. Thank you. And do you mind if I get your name?
Oh, not at all. Happy to introduce myself. My name is Quinroar.
Quinroar. Pleasure, Quinroar. Thank you for the wine. My name is Sidhario Wayfarer, and this is Drusilla.
Oh, very nice to meet both of you.
Do you have fermented milk?
Fermented milk. I think we got some more of the specialty items downstairs. I could ask them to go take a look for us.
Yes, please. Do you also have juice?
Just juice? Oh yeah,
juice.
What kind of fruit you looking for?
What kinds you got?
Oh, all kinds. We got let's see, orange and apple, or apple cider more so than juice, but comes, we have it hard or soft. Then you've got some of the a bit more exotic ones also. We just got a shipment of pomegranate juice. Well, pomegranates we juiced. We're from Pontos down to the south. That's really good, very sweet, kind of tart too. I like it. We'll be fermenting that ourselves in house into wine. Don't have it done yet. We'll have pomegranate wine soon. I hear it's very good.
She's just gonna look to Sid. What does he mean by hard and soft?
One way to find out.
I want the hard orange juice.
Well, the only one that comes in hard is the cider.
Then yeah, we'll get one hard, one soft.
One hard, one soft cider. All right. And let me send leans over to somebody and whispers in the air, and they run off. And you can see that the back shelf of the bar is like set a little bit further away from the wall. Like there's some space behind it, and they kind of go over, open a door in the side, and disappear down a staircase. And then he goes about pouring some things, and then they do in fact come up with a clear bottle of white liquid. And he said, "Oh, there we go. Sorry, I never think no one ever asked for it as a fermented milk. They always just call it kumis."
They call it what?
That is the actual name for a fermented dairy product traditionally made from mare's milk. I am not making this up.
Kumis.
It is an Kumis.
Oh dear.
I'm not writing it down.
I am.
It is a traditional drink of the Central Asian steppes.
Love it.
Great.
I'm not making this up.
While they're doing that, I'm going to turn to Ilvem. Ilvem,
Okay.
do you want to say something cool?
Smile and nod.
Okay, so this is my bag of holding. I have 2 right now, but once we sleep, I'm only going to have 1. But look at this. I put my hand in the bag of holding. I think something wet hits my hand, and I pull out the gift brain. See, isn't this interesting?
Oh my god.
And now it's like a grimace and nod.
It's probably like rotting too. It's very interesting, right? Moloch likes it, and I pick off a piece and feed it to Moloch.
Great.
Moloch,
Really, really cool.
Moloch, here you go, a piece of brain.
Great. Oh, that's so good and cool. I'm so glad we're having this bonding experience.
I need you to keep an eye out for me and make sure no one watches me do this. So
Okay.
I take a vial out, an empty one,
Mm-hmm.
kind of squeeze some of the juice in,
Okay.
and then back in the bag of holding, put the vial in my vial bandolier. Thank you, Ilvem.
At any time.
I hope they have fermented milk.
You know, funny enough, I heard it's actually called kumis.
I've never called it that. I've just fermented my own milk from animals I'd find at the Enclave.
Wow.
Yes. My favorite was... my favorite was... There is this one... Never mind. You wouldn't understand.
I probably would not.
There is this one alley cat.
That's okay.
Anyways, I think they're coming with our drinks.
Yay.
All right, so you can return back with the drinks. Oh, sorry. For the 2 ciders and the glass of kumis, it would be 2 gold pieces.
Yeah, we'll hand it over.
I'm not making this up. Blame the, I believe, according to Wikipedia, the steppe nomads of Central Asia for the name.
Some people
Way
also
to go,
drink.
step nomads.
Some people also drink reindeer urine.
Yeah, but they're
Oh, well,
Canadian.
that's
and,
normal.
Some people also pour maple syrup into snow, roll it up, and eat it like a dessert.
Yeah,
so-
we do.
That's
Yeah, we
Is
actually
there a
do.
problem with that?
Yeah, what the fuck?
What else are we gonna do
Very
with the
good.
snow?
I feel personally attacked.
Yeah, Kimmit have a good time. I'm so attacked right now.
Drusilla, do you have my fermented milk?
Yeah. She'll put the bottle in front of
Oh, wunderbar.
or whatever
Oh,
they
no,
gave
they
her.
put a glass. You poured
the
a glass.
glass.
I wanted
yeah.
the
She'll put
bottle.
the glass in front of him. It's like,
I smell it.
It smells like, curdled fermented milk.
Ilvem, here, smells this.
Nope.
This is the best place ever.
got you your juice.
Did they have
You-
juice?
Did you want the hard juice or the soft juice?
You want a hard juice, I think, Ilvem.
I want the soft juice, please.
Okay, she'll give him the soft.
Okay, the mugs were slightly different. The hard cider came in like a frosted glass mug, and then the regular alcoholic apple cider came in just like a wooden cup with no handle.
They'll give him or give him the soft one and take the hard one for herself.
Okay.
Ilvem will take one sip of the apple cider and be like, "See, this was my fault. I actually really hate apple. I should have mentioned it.
Do you want some of my kumis?
I'm very good on that front, but thank you."
I drink half of it, just like chug it, like half of it.
All right. Apparently, it's a very popular drink. Let me see. What does it say? What does Wikipedia say it tastes like? Does it not say what it tastes like?
I imagine it's like butter.
Uh,
I've everyone's accidentally drinking spoiled milk.
apparently similar to kefir.
Oh, okay, cool.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, okay. Yes. Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. Apparently, it has like almost like a yogurty flavor
Yeah.
to it.
Okay, cool. I guess.
Yeah.
Like a
Very.
Oh
yop.
shit!
What?
Hannibal doesn't partake in alcohol. There's an alcohol
You
content in the kumis.
Specifically said fermented. Fermented means alcohol.
Whatever.
It's like a very, very small amount of alcohol.
This tastes different than the milk I would make at the Enclave.
Oh, that's what he gave me when I asked for fermented milk.
You probably should have just said coagulated milk. It's still good though, but if I get drunk, it's your fault, Drusilla.
How is it my fault? I was just doing what you asked
You
me.
bought it.
Well, yes, but how was I supposed to know?
I don't know.
Exactly.
It's already affecting me.
You're so dramatic.
I've never had alcohol before.
There
Isn't
you
this
go.
supposed to be a show?
Very light in body compared to most dairy drinks, has a unique, slightly sour flavor with a bite from the mild alcoholic content. And yes, there is a show. As you're sitting there discussing the alcoholic content of Hannibal's fermented milk, the musicians on stage finish up and bow and to the applause of the audience and step off. And then you can see musicians have been kind of sitting down and setting up in stands up on the balcony in a couple of places on either side. And the curtains close in front of you. And a moment later, they open up as the band up top starts playing. And they start playing a lot more of a lively kind of tune that you can dance to. And as the curtains open, you can see that there's like 3 rows of people all set up in very, very flowing kind of costumes with really flowy sleeves, and they kind of come out to a wide almost skirt at the bottom. And they start doing a very complicated choreographed dance. There's probably about 18 to 21 of them on stage. It's hard to tell because they're all like spinning and moving in this intricate pattern back and forth past each other. And the spinning motions kind of make the long trailing drapey sort of clothes that they're wearing kind of twirl around them and create this really cool pattern as they twirl and spin around. It's a very circular dance as they move around on stage back and forth to the music. And then eventually they come down the steps on either side of the stage, and they start dancing and twirling past all of the tables and moving through the audience section and moving around to the music, passing by your table, making their way around, and then eventually they kind of make their way back up on stage as the song kind of starts to come to an end, and then all together they stop and then take a bow, and then the curtains begin to close.
Is that the cabaret?
It's just getting started.
Or are we all
And
the
so-
cabaret now?
We are all in the cabaret now. So just gonna politely, like, golf clap.
Okay.
Everyone's
Hey.
going to enthusiastically clap.
Mage hand
Okay.
clap.
So you're like doing this, and then the extra hand is appearing here and like clapping with your spare hand.
Yep.
Nice. So like Hannibal is clapping out of unison, but there's another hand just like mirroring his other one that's actually doing the clapping.
That is called flair.
And Ilvem, you said Ilvem, are you? Did I have a message here that said you are whistling?
I am whistling.
All right.
Yes.
So in between the music, Ilvem is just like kind of whistling a tune in and out. It's very repetitive. It's kind of repetitive. It doesn't necessarily come into a full song, just kind of like a repeated series of notes. And as you're all sitting there, kind of enjoying the show afterwards, you see a tiefling in very high-necked kind of waistcoat, deep red waistcoat, but with almost basically what looks like very thin gold chains set up in like loopy rows down either side and epaulets on the shoulder.
So an icon.
Yes. With his skin matches his vest, and he has a pair of horns that swoop back and then curl up at the ends, and he has them pierced with a couple of rings down the back, and then similar gold chains kind of zigzagging back and forth between them, with white hair in between them, and a pair of very small spectacles resting on the bridge of his nose. And he comes over to your table and says, "Well, hello there. Would you mind if I pulled up a chair and joined all of you?"
You're very handsome.
Thank you very much.
I like your coat.
Of course you can sit with us.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And goes and he finds a chair and just kind of tips it up onto one leg and spins it around deftly, and then pulls it up underneath himself and sits down at an open space in the table. I'm so sorry to intrude, but I just have to say you caught my eye. If I'm going to be honest, and
Why?
there is something about all of you.
Is it me?
You certainly caught my eye first, if I'm going to be honest. Your sense of style is unmistakable.
Thank you. So is yours.
Thank you very much. And I couldn't help but notice I've also never seen any of you in here before, and I'm here quite often. So it is not often that I get to see newcomers. So greetings and welcome. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for the warm welcome. Do you mind if I get your name?
Not at all. My name is Mirth.
Merce.
You know what? That is close enough. I have friends that call me stranger.
Sorry,
Merth.
I have an accent.
Murder.
Judas, no.
My name is Hannibal.
Well, it's very nice to meet you, Hannibal.
I'm Ilvem.
Ilvem, all right.
Tutorial Wayfarer III. You may call me Sid.
Sid, it is lovely to meet you, and that is a magnificent name.
Thank you. And then this would be Drusilla.
Well, it's very nice to meet you, Drusilla.
Oh, and this is Moloch, and this is Archimedes.
Oh, well. And he looks at Archimedes. He looks at Archimedes first, and is like, very fine craftsmanship on that.
Thank you.
And then sees Moloch poke out and says, "Ooh, oh, who's a good boy? Oh, may I pet him? Is that all right?"
Hold on. Moloch, is it okay if the handsome tiefling pets you?
He kind of like tilts both of his heads in his direction, like leaning out over the table.
I think it might be alright. If he bites you, you might get sick, so.
Entirely my fault if he does. And he reaches out a hand. He's got a series of gold and silver rings along both, like multiple on each finger, and black fingernails that are kind of either naturally grow this way or are filed to a sort of rounded point on each hand. And he reaches, as you just kind of place Moloch down on the table, he reaches out with a hand and just kind of starts gently scritching behind his ears with the points of his nails. And Moloch, like, he explores around for a minute, and Moloch eventually finds a kick spot on Moloch, and Moloch is just like sitting there, one head leaning to one side as his leg starts kicking. But then the other one just kind of nips over because it's not getting attention. And then he moves over and he starts just kind of like playing back and forth with his hand, trying to like scratch both of them with the one hand. Oh, he's adorable.
Thank you. His name is Moloch.
Moloch, what a lovely name for a lovely little creature.
He's named after something specific.
Hmm.
And I scoop up Moloch and put him back in my coat.
As you're about to scoop him up, like Moloch has started sniffing and like started going for both heads have started going for your glass. Like,
oh, do you want some Moloch? Here.
Oh my god, no.
They come over and they just start lapping up a little bit. There's not a lot left since you've been just chugging it, so they're just like lapping up whatever is like kind of residue is left around the inside of the glass and a little bit left at the bottom.
So, Mirth, was it?
Yes, it was.
Hope you don't mind me asking, are you simply a local enjoying the show, or is this actually a place of business for you?
This is a place of business for me, yes.
I use the entertainment that comes to the rooms.
No, I can't say that. We don't provide that sort of entertainment here.
Okay, just asking because I didn't know what that meant.
Oh, you sweet dear.
Do you have rooms here?
We do, yes. Beyond the doors back over there, and he points. There's sets of doors that go on the same wall as the stage. Like the stage doesn't cover the entire wall; it's just pretty much the middle section. And there's some doors that lead back into like what appears to be the back half of the building. He says, back through there, there's some more private meeting rooms and other things. There's some gambling if you'd like that, private performance areas, and as well as you can go up to the second floor over there, and a second, third, and fourth floors over there. And there are rooms that can be found for either short or extended stay.
And how much are the rooms?
Well, it depends on the room, to be honest, for one. But I'm sure I could inquire for you.
Hey, Sidario Wayfarer the Third.
Hannibal giggles a little bit.
Does this? Are we gonna stay here? Is this the inn we're gonna use?
Depends on price. Mirth, if you don't mind, if you could just simply looking for the cheapest room you have, just one room.
Cheapest room, just one room? I will take a look. And he stands up from the table, and as he does, kind of you realize that his waistcoat, which is basically a vest, also is a tailcoat. It is like a tailed vest that he like kind of stands up and flares the tails back on either side of his tail, which peeks out from in between the two like pointed tails of his coat. And actually, like as he stands up, his tail wraps around one of the like struts of the back of the chair and pushes it in behind him.
I love him.
And he turns just kind of like there's almost a skip to his step as he makes his way happily, jauntily over to the bar to speak with one of the attendants there.
Sid is going to sit back in his chair and enjoy his glass of wine and enjoy watching Mirth walk away.
And Ilvem's just gonna be like, he was very handsome.
Is that the sex people talk about?
I think so.
Oh my god.
Interesting. I must write that down in my notes.
Ilvem has like a very slight blush.
A little bit while later, he comes back and pulls the chair back. By the way, I forgot to mention, no pupils, solid white eyes. And this pulls the chair back and sits down again, flaring the tails out behind him as he sits down so they don't get crumpled up underneath him when he sits. He says, well, for the cheapest room per night is... are we talking for the ability to accommodate 4 people or just one room one single occupancy room?
I believe 4 people.
I'd rather have my own room.
They'd rather not be in a room with Hannibal.
I
Well,
understand.
I'll tell you. I asked for a few prices. So the cheapest room for just a single person is 2 gold pieces a night. But if you're looking for a suite, perhaps a fairly modest one that could accommodate 4 people, I believe they have 2 bedrooms and an adjoining room in between, would be 4 gold pieces a night.
That's doable, I suppose.
Sid's gonna turn to Drusilla. Were there any other options that we wanted to look at? Anything possibly a bit cheaper that Hannibal has not been kicked out of?
Well, Hannibal's only been kicked out of one. And
Know of any other inns?
I only knew of the one.
Just the bathhouse. House.
You don't
Are
know if the
there
bathhouse had
any-
rooms.
I know, just
Okay.
the bathhouse. House.
Are there any deals for an extended stay?
I think there could be, yes. Also, I noticed that you are a musician.
It's the flute, isn't it?
I did notice the flute, yes.
I've been known to do a little duddy.
I'm sure you're much better than that. There are some deals for extended stay. There's also some deals for performers as well. Now, you wouldn't need to be a consistent performer, but if you were to step up on stage a few times, that would alleviate some of the financial burden of your stay.
Well, I personally would love to just perform every once in a while, with or without the financial compensation.
We will,
true
of course. We will, of course, take the financial compensation, though, if Ilvem were to perform. Are there perhaps any deals for a visiting diplomat?
A visiting diplomat? I can't say that we've ever had a visiting diplomat come in, or at least that has made it known. But who is the diplomat?
I take out my degree of pedigree.
Oh, you didn't know?
Sid's got receipts, fam.
Listen, we here with the receipts.
All right, so may I? Holds out a hand for it.
Of course.
And he pulls his glasses up so he can read a little bit better and holds it up to the light. Well, I wasn't aware we had a diplomat in the house. Have you spoken to... Well, I hear that... I have heard something recently, a few whispers, mutters even, from a little bird or several, that an ambassador would be coming to town soon from where you're from. Would you happen to be the ambassador?
I am not. But that is very interesting information. Do you have any other information on this visiting ambassador?
I don't know. I don't necessarily keep into politics very often, but I could ask some people to look into it if you were interested.
I would be. Of course, I don't want to put anyone out, but if you happen to hear anything else, I would appreciate being notified of it. But no, this is a more casual, shall we say, diplomatic approach. My family is always looking for different ways to invest their money, shall we say.
All right. Let me think. Let me see what I can do. But I think, in exchange for a few performances, and for a diplomat, and also for a performer, I would say that we could actually get you into one of our rooms. That is, let's see, worthy of a diplomat. For just for the single room price of 2 gold pieces a night. For a suite. Suite for 4-room suite.
I have a
That
question.
is
Oh, I'm sorry. And if that would also include a you mentioned extended stay, so if we added on the extended stay discount as well, that would, for a full 10-day, I think that we could get that down from 20 gold pieces for an extended stay paid in advance to 15.
Sounds good. I'll hand over 15 gold pieces.
I have a question before we proceed.
It's too late.
Yes.
I've already handed over 15 gold pieces.
He's like, picks it up off the tables. 1, 2, 3. Yes. What's your question?
You said you noticed us, and then you mentioned that you have little birds. Did you happen to have a little bird flying around somewhere else recently, and you saw us through this little bird?
No, I can't say I have. This is my first time seeing you.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Of course.
And thank you for your immense generosity in helping us arrange our stay here. I greatly appreciate it.
Well, in exchange for a diplomat and a new performer and some very interesting people and some lovely companionship, I would be remiss if I passed it up.
I'm a scientist.
I was just going to pay full price.
Well, now you're not.
Are there any other performances scheduled for the main stage tonight?
Oh, there should be several. Yes, we've got a few more musical performances, individual acts as well as a few more large group numbers, some dances, a few poetry readings, several things like that. Although I can also make sure your rooms are prepared, and if you'd like to retire for the evening, then you can do that as well.
What time is it? Right
By the time the time it took you to get here, and you've been sitting around talking, and the one performance, there's a bit of time before the performance and after, and since before Mirth came over to you, so it's certainly after dark. Like, it is into the nighttime now. This could be a time when you would normally go to sleep, but there's a fair amount of night left as well.
I'm gonna turn to the rest of the group. Would you care to retire, or do you want to stick around and watch a few more performances?
I wouldn't mind performing tonight.
Oh, all right. Well, there's a few things to go over before that. I was actually going to ask you if you wouldn't mind to just come by after, if it wouldn't be too much trouble to come by after closing tonight, just to speak with some people about performances and that sort of thing. Just to, for main stage performances, we just ask for a few, an orientation, if you will.
That does make sense, of course. Well, then I would like to go to bed.
Does somebody named Reggie perform here?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember any Reggies, but I could certainly check for you.
Excellent. For now, I go to bed.
All right. So, Ilvem, was it?
It was.
Would it be all right if someone were to come get you later tonight, just so we could speak about some of the particulars before you retire completely for the evening?
Of course, yes.
All right. Someone will come by and we can speak about some particulars about performances and things like that. Make sure you have everything that needs to perform to your comfort.
Color me excited.
All right. Well, I'll go get all of this set up for you. And he's like, basically pulled out a pocket square and put the 15 gold into it and just bundles it up and then into like a little pouch and says, I'll make sure this gets where it needs to. I'll make sure your room is ready. And then bring a key over and be able to direct you to where you need to go in just a few moments.
Great.
Did I get my my degree of pedigree back?
Oh yes, he handed that back to you after he read it.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, and then he stands up again, and then again Tail pushes the chair in, and then goes off to go start making arrangements.
You know, Sid, you don't really carry yourself like a noble.
Well, have you met many nobles?
Yeah.
Insight check?
Roll it.
That is an unnatural 20.
I am telling the truth.
Well, I didn't really enjoy spending the majority of my time at home dealing with the more political side of things. I know enough to get by.
That's fair. I slept through a lot of my politics classes too.
Your politics classes. Are
Yeah.
you of noble blood as well?
It's a little complicated.
All right. Well, if you ever want to share your complications, I'm all ears.
Hey Sid.
Hmm?
That's pretty friendly of you to say.
Oh my god. Okay, I take my offer back. You don't know me, I don't know you.
But I'll keep it in mind. Thank you.
Okay.
So, how are you liking your first cabaret?
I love this place.
It's quite noisy.
It's an experience.
All right. You sit through the lights in, like the chandeliers dim inside the room, leaving it dark, and then the stage lights come up as the curtains part again. And you see a man and a woman on stage, both dressed very, very nicely. The woman's in a flowy gown, and the man has got like one of those neck ruffs up that like very billowy and puffy. And the two of them perform an like operatic duet. It's not necessarily like there's no lyrics to it. It's pretty much just vocalizing back and forth, just weaving their voices together, harmonizing. There's some unison, there's some back and forth. There's some parts where one voice is doing one melody and another is doing another melody, and it seems for a second like they're completely conflicting, and almost like they've gotten off from the melody from each other until it kind of resolves back together, and you can hear the two it's almost like there's like a switch is flipped and just something clicks, and the two melodies that you've been hearing, you've been able to keep separate in your mind, then sort of weave back together, and you can hear both of them distinct and separate again, but back together, sort of almost bouncing back and forth like a call and response before they go back into a harmony. Sort of again just vocalizing together, their voices filling the space. You get the sense there might be some sort of magical amplification off the stage, because despite the fact that you're sitting in the front, and it seems like a very it's like a very intimate performance. Like the voices don't seem like they're necessarily loud enough to carry all the way to the back, but looking back, it looks like people all the way in like the nosebleeds in the back of the highest balcony are still able to hear them just fine. And they go back and forth like that for a few minutes until they finally, it kind of reaches a crescendo and speeds up faster and faster and faster, going into this very intricate call and response duet of like one and then another and then another and then back and forth. Just this rising and falling of complex notes, crescendoing into a louder and louder peak until they come to this one just unison note together that they hold out and sustain for such a long period of time. And it seems like they're going to run out of breath, and it seems like the note is never going to end, and then it finally just stops, both of them perfectly together in unison, and the crowd erupts into applause. And they both take a bow as the curtains
Ilvem
close
is
in front of
very enthusiastic about it all.
you. All right. And then after the performance, Mirth comes back over with a 4 small brass, or very, very shiny brass key rings, with each one with a key on them. Very nice key with like 3 prongs coming off the end. And it's one of those ones that actually, the key, it's not just like one direction that the teeth go in, like the teeth go in all 4 directions. And he has them all, like, one on each finger, kind of jangling together lightly as he walks over to your table and says, all right, and here are your keys. So I can lead you to your room whenever you like.
Fantastic. Sid's going to stand down the rest of the glass. Unless my group has any complaints, lead on.
Ilvem will also stand up and like reach for their glass again and be like, ugh, apple.
Sorry.
Yes, time for sleep. Sleep time.
All right, well, right this way. And he leads you past the stage, off to one side, through a set of double doors where you come into a few hallways, and you pass by what appear to be just private rooms, just nice little sitting rooms, lounges where you can see people sitting. Some of them have doors that are open, some have doors that have slid closed. There's a much larger area in the back with another bar, and this one looks more just like a quiet sitting area. There's a very large fireplace in the middle, and more couches and sofas and lounges around in this one. Little tables and armchairs for like reading. This is kind of more like a lobby type area than that's. You can still hear the music and the performances, but it's quieter, more distant. This is a much calmer atmosphere. And then there's a pair of curving staircases that lead upwards to the second floor. And he leads you up the stairs, down a hallway, and you eventually come to a corner door that he gestures to and says, all right, right through here will be your rooms. If you need anything, just let any member of the staff know, and they will provide it for you. Breakfast will be served. Breakfast will arrive in the morning, be served in your rooms.
Thank you so much, Mirth.
It is my pleasure. And just remember, someone will be coming by and knocking on your door, just to come and get you later tonight to speak of the matters regarding your performing.
Of course.
Have an excellent night, all of you, and I will see you a bit later. And he makes his way off.
All right, cool. We'll go check out the room.
All right, so one of you goes and puts the key in the lock and turns it. The keyhole kind of looks like a plus sign, so you can fit the keyhole into it and turn. And you can hear a multitude of tumblers rotating and turning as you open. Is anyone? No one's proficient in thieves' tools, right?
I am.
Oh, are you?
Mm-hmm.
I also am.
Oh, okay. All right, both of you proficient in thieves' tools. Just, offhandedly, you have practiced and trained in picking locks, and just the design of the key and the sound it makes and everything is like, oh, that would be awful to try and pick. Like, this would be a very complicated lock. You're pretty sure there's like 4 separate locks in there, basically,
Oof.
that the one key opens. But then, with a very satisfying click, it opens the door, and as you swing it open, you can step inside. You come into basically like a lounge living room type thing. You have your own fireplace. There's some sofas and chairs around, a very nice patterned rug in the middle of the room. Kind of a almost breakfast bar area off to one side with some higher stools in front of it of some very polished, nice wood. And a few basics, like there's a bowl of fruit and some other kind of snacks around in that area. And then there are 5 doors, looks like probably 2 that lead into, or 4 that lead into the bedrooms, and then 1 that leads into a washroom of some kind. And you also have windows in here that look out over the street, and it looks like your bedrooms have as well. But as soon as the door closes behind you, it actually gets very quiet. And as you're walking through, you might have noticed the door frame is like this thick. Like the walls are almost a foot thick in this room. and probably based on as soon as you close the door, very well insulated, and you can see as you look when any of you go look out the window, the glass is double paned, just to provide. As soon as you're in here, despite all the noise and talking and the partying going on outside, and the music happening elsewhere in the building, it is nearly silent in this room.
Well, that's a relief.
It's a little creepy.
Sid would like to spend as much time as it takes, very paranoid, scanning the room, looking for anything off.
Okay.
Scanning the rooms, the bedroom, the washroom, just sort of like not trusting anything here, and so making sure that there's no way that someone could get in or like listen in on them, etc., etc., just looking for stuff that's off.
Okay. You would notice that the windows do appear to lock from the inside, so all of them are latched shut, and they all are automatic. They are all currently latched as well. There's some potted plants and things around the room as well to give it a nice homey feel to it. And you look at all those; they are actual plants. There's nothing hiding in them. You do you actually 2 of the rooms would have balcony access as well. There's doors that lead out onto the balcony, which kind of wraps around the entire building. There's curtains and drapes that can be pulled in front of all the windows also. Balcony wraps around the entire building. Looks like there's railings kind of separating it off. So you can't just it's not just free to walk around the outside of the building around past people's rooms. So that's a little separated off, but then that door looks like it has a fairly hefty lock on it as well that matches up with the key that you have. Yeah. And you can, as you look into the bedrooms, you can see that each of them are fairly, they're not huge and opulent or anything, but they're fairly nice. You can definitely tell that you got a room upgrade. The beds are fairly large and plush and probably some sort of down feather, not like hay or any other type of stuffing. Probably very soft and very warm looking. Nice bedding. There is a basin of water that looks like it's probably changed out fairly regularly for washing up. And there is by the door also, as you're looking around, you can see that there's a little pull chain that kind of goes up into the wall and disappears, and just underneath is a little plaque, and then etched into it just says "Pull for assistance."
Ilvem's just gonna grab the bowl of fruit and take out any of the apples, and then just go into one of the rooms and is okay, good night. And just
So you take the apples with you, or you take the apples out and then take the bowl?
Take the apples out of the bowl and then take the bowl with me.
Okay, all right. So there's just 4 or 5 apples sitting bare on the counter, and then Ilvem just walks away with this entire fruit bowl.
This is my dinner. And then, they're just gonna go into their room, close the door, eat their fruit, and catch a quick little nap while they wait to be summoned.
Okay, that's what they're doing. Sid, you had something?
Sid's going to take one of the nice balcony rooms and go in there, close the door, and just immediately flop down and pass out.
Okay.
The
The bed just kind of cushions up around you. It's not firm, it's very soft. So when you lay down, you kind of sink into it. It's just
Mm-hmm.
okay, and then just
a long, soft groan.
Mm-hmm. This is probably the most comfortable bed you slept in 2 years.
You said there's only 2 bedrooms, right?
Oh no, there's 4.
Oh,
this one there's 4. Only 2 of them have balcony access.
There's only 2 bedrooms, and we both are just okay, good night. Have fun in the common space.
So is there another balcony one left, or no?
Did Ilvem take a balcony room or a non-balcony room?
You can roll for it because they just walked into a room. If you wanted to roll for it, or you can just arbitrarily decide. Would
it be how about this? Would it be one of the closest rooms or one of the farther rooms?
Probably one of the farther rooms.
Okay, then yes, both balcony rooms are taken.
Damn it.
Because the ones further in are the balcony rooms, the ones closer in are the non-balcony rooms.
Did you lose?
Well, Drusilla, it looks like we both have just rooms.
That's all right.
Okay, good night, and I walk into my room.
Okay. Oh wait, actually, sorry. No, so your room. I forgot. Your room is on a corner. So actually, all 4 rooms would have balcony access. Now that I think about it,
Heck
yeah, 'cause
yeah.
you're on two separate walls. So yeah, you have like this entire corner of the building on this floor of your balcony, and there's like some like patio furniture out there basically. So like you could, if you wanted to, you could like lay out on a lounge chair overlooking the city out here.
Good night, Drusilla.
Good night, Hannibal.
Close the door behind me.
All right.
I put Moloch on the bed on one of the pillows.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he'll like do a little dog spin.
Yep, pretty much. He's had a exhausting day of riding around in your pocket.
Archimedes, I just go Archimedes. I guess you're on guard. And I set him on like a table or something.
Okay. Well, as soon as you say go on guard, Archimedes, like, you set him down, but then the little spider legs extend out and the bat wings flap, and he goes up and like manages to wedge himself between the top of the door frame and the ceiling. It's like legs splayed out flat on the wall, just skull looking straight down over the top of the doorway. And the wings are just like folded back.
Archimedes, should someone you don't recognize come through the door, spray them with your acid. Excellent.
Just hangs their mouth open with the acid sprayer just pointed straight down and just freezes in place.
And I onto the bed and rest a little hand on Moloch and go to sleep.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, and Drusilla, similar story, or?
Drusilla's gonna go into her room. And what's like the bedding situation on the bed? Like, is there blankets, pillows?
Yeah, blankets, pillows, sheets. There's like top sheet, bottom sheet, and then like a more comfortable, thicker blanket on top as well.
Well, we're gonna take all of that off the bed and drag it to one of the corners of the room.
Okay.
And she's just gonna kind of build like a little nest in there, and then she's gonna sit in it and then trance.
Okay.
Oh, before Hannibal sleeps though,
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna sit on the edge of the bed, take out his extra bag of holding
Mm-hmm.
that he had made for his one plan that he was gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna end the infusing on it.
Okay.
So it's no longer a bag of holding.
Was there anything in that bag?
No.
Okay, so the bag it's like you're holding the bag and you end the enchantment on it, and like it's like you open up the bag and it's just dark inside basically, and as you end the enchantment, it's almost just like the lights come on inside the bag, and then like the bottom of the bag just like gradually fades into view, and then you can just see it, and then it just becomes a regular bag.
And then I take out my trusty hammer
Mm-hmm.
and I put returning weapon back on it.
Okay. You can practice. You can give it a little toss or drop it, toss it over onto the bed and then hold your hand out and it flies back into your hand.
That is much better. And then I go to sleep.
Okay. All right, so you're all laying in bed. Couple hours later, while you're all fast asleep, there's just a little knock on the door, just like a...
Is it like our main door?
It's the main door, yeah.
Oof. Do I hear it?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, then I'll wake
You're
up. And
sleeping
go.
lightly, so yeah.
Yeah. Expecting a visitor, I'll go.
Mhm. Yeah. All right, so you open the door. You were like starting to have, you were napping, and you were starting to have a dream, actually, laying there. Probably kind of just like one of those nondescript locations in a dream where like you're not thinking about where you are. Like you are in a place, but you're not thinking about it, so it's not immediately apparent where you are. It's kind of like background information, and later when you try to remember it, you're like, I know I was somewhere, I just don't know where.
Yeah.
Seem familiar maybe. And you're starting to dream about an individual you met recently. You start to see a fairly large, very tall, wide individual with very dark skin and a pair of wings folded behind him. His like shaggy curly hair sitting on top of his head, and he turns to look at you, and it looks like he's about to say something before going, you should probably get that. And then you're woken up by
So Ilvem wakes up blushing. Not like the light blush from earlier, but like a full blown like up the neck, like it's embarrassing.
Oh yeah, just basically wearing like a shift, like a white piece of cloth just like wrapped around the waist, pretty much the only clothing.
Yeah, and so they just kind of like hastily make their way to the door while like trying to like slap down the blush a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, so you go to the door, and there is, as you open it, you go out into the main room, and then you open the door out to the hallway. There is a halfling with like a pencil mustache and slick back hair, basically in like a waiter outfit, who looks at him and says, I was told to come get you, and you were supposed to meet back in the cabaret room?
Hi, yes, of course. Let's go do that.
All right. It's a little twisty and turny in here, so let me lead you over that way. So he leads you back down the hallway.
Yeah.
Down the hallway, down the stairs. There's actually, you realize that the way you take is not the way you came up here. It's actually much shorter. Mirth probably took you that way, just kind of give you a tour of the back side of the building and let you see that kind of like nice lobby area if you wanted a place to sit where you could talk to other people and be around them without being in your room. But this way you go, it's a much quicker way down a narrower set of stairs that opens up into one of the hallways that leads out to the main audience, cabaret, dinner hall kind of area. You can see people around. You can see a lot of the bartenders and some of the waiters and the staff that you saw around collecting glasses and plates and things and bringing them over to the bar, and people washing things and pulling the tablecloths off tables and piling them up in a rolling cart and, picking the chairs up and putting them on top of the table, blowing out the candles, cleaning up the candle wax. Basically just, end of the shift kind of clean up now that the place appears to be closed. And the chandeliers are still on, or are still lit, lighting the place up, but it definitely is after closing time at this point. And Mirth is on stage, standing up on the stage, just up towards the edge, talking to one of the wait staff before he sees you come in and just goes, there you are. Let's talk.
Yes, hello. Let's get down to business.
Yes. Well, first, I would like to talk about the business that you originally advertised before I came and spoke to you.
I had assumed as much.
Well, I'm not a member myself, per se, but I know some people, and I think I might be able to get you in contact with them.
That would be very much appreciated.
All right. That was what initially caught my ear, though your group is very interesting. Don't get me wrong, but I noticed you putting those notes into the world.
Well, I'm glad that you were able to pick them up. Also, it's like Ilvem is now like significantly more formal.
Okay.
And like straight back.
Okay. So I'll make sure that the right people get in contact with you, and I don't know how long it'll take. I don't know if you have any members in the city or not, but I can certainly, there's some friends of friends situations going on that I can work out to make sure that the right people get in contact with you.
That would be very ideal.
Now, in the meantime, so in terms of performance, it's actually fairly straightforward. I mostly just wanted to get you here so we could speak about that. I didn't know if the people you're traveling with, how much they know, so I didn't want to. I didn't want to, speak about these things openly. I understand that you're a secretive group.
I appreciate the secrecy and would appreciate it going forward as well.
All right, understood. I'm quite familiar with how your people like to operate.
Yes.
So performances, would a main stage spot be sound good, or would you prefer more small room settings?
I am fine with either. Your offer was very generous, and I am more than happy to fulfill any needs you may have.
Well, moving forward, I'm guessing that as soon as you get in contact with whoever you need to. I'm sure that they will be probably providing accommodations. So it was, think of it as an investment on my part. And we would be honored to have one of you performing on our main stage.
Well, then that is definitely something we can get set up.
All right. You can speak to me whenever you'd like to perform. Apologize for the bit of deception earlier. I am, in fact, the owner of this establishment. I don't like to flaunt that terribly much when I'm talking to other people, customers. That tends to make things a bit too formal for my taste. I like to make new friends, and new friends tend to get a little intimidated when they find out that you're the owner. So, or they take their concerns that they'd like to take to the manager up with you, and then it's just business, 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 and I don't get to have any fun.
Yeah, it's like, why have a manager, you know?
Exactly. I have these people for a reason. So, if you'd like to speak with me, I can get you set up for performances whenever you'd like. And there's no need for me to hear you audition or anything. Clearly, you are of a significant caliber of performance. So, that is all taken care of then. Are there any questions you had for me? Anything else you need? Any resources? Anything?
Nope, I think that will conclude our business for the night. And you can schedule me in for tomorrow night if you have any availability.
I believe we do, yes.
All right, well then I will see you at the main stage tomorrow night.
All right. As you're finishing up talking, one of the side doors, because there's the main corner door that leads into this room, but there's also a few along the walls of this place, and on one of those doors, like the closest one to the stage, probably most out of the way away from the intersection, there's just suddenly like a heavy bang, 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 bang knocking on the door, and that draws Mirth's attention. You can see one of the waiters leaning over to get a look, and then has a serious expression on their face when they look up at Mirth, and Mirth just nods, just like, let them in, and then they go over and unlock the door, and the door swings open, and you see two individuals walk in. One is being basically dragged in, and you see a half-elf woman in like padded, probably kind of like padded quilted kind of armor. It doesn't necessarily look like armor, it just kind of looks like a quilted coat, but probably like would serve as some kind of armor. And a woman with long dark hair that, like, as it catches the light, it's pretty much like solid black hair, but as it catches the light, seems to have hints of almost like shines red to it. Her skin is like a deep reddish brown, like almost like clay, wearing very patterned red drapey fabrics all over her body. Both of them are trying to drag a Goliath into the room. He's kind of slumped over. He's got arms over both of their shoulders, absolutely huge, wearing basically kind of just like regular work laborer's clothes. But you can see like the one entire half of his face is slicked with blood. One of his eyes is swollen. And in one of his hands, he's got just like the handle of what looks to have been a great club at some point, but it's just splintered and shattered off halfway along it. And they're both like got his arms over them and they're dragging his feet along. He's appears to be like half conscious and is trying to help and get his feet underneath him, but they like keep slipping on the floor as he tries to get them underneath him. And Mirth points at some of the waiters, and especially the Furbolg is like, help them. And the Furbolg comes over and helps them, and they bring him over, and a couple more of the waiters clear chairs off of one of the tables and bring him up and just lay him down on top of the table. And he pretty much, like, his arms and legs hang off in 4 different directions on the table as he's laying there, just like, ugh. And Mirth hops down off the stage and starts immediately rolling up his white sleeves, and just goes down and is like, oh, what happened? Where did you find him? And then the half-elf woman says, you can see her hand immediately goes to the hilt of a blade on her hip and starts just like kind of nervously running her fingers along it. It's like, we found him by the docks like this. He was I don't know, probably got into some kind of trouble like he usually does. Come on, you idiot. Don't die. And Mirth is like,
would you like a little help with that?
and they both all four, like the two women and Mirth all both like turn to look at you. The women as if they're just seeing you, Mirth as though he's remembering that you're just there. And then Mirth's like, is this the kind of thing that you would be able to help with?
There's something I might be able to help with. And I will use my last first level spell slot and cast Cure Wounds.
Okay, so you're gonna like hop down off the stage and come over and place your hands over this Goliath, and that sort of glow comes from your hands again. Would you say that the glow from your magic mirrors the glow of your halo in coloration and style?
Very much, yes.
Okay, so like you lay your hands down over this Goliath, and that sort of like rainbow opalescent halo appears from underneath your hands and shines out from underneath them. And his ragged shallowed breathing starts to slow and deepen a bit more. And you can see some of the bruising go down, and he just sort of like, you can see his grip relax, and his arms that were very tight and tense just sort of loosen, and a lot of the tension goes out of him. And one of his eyes opens. The one on his blood slicked like half of his face is pretty much swollen shut. But the other one opens up, and then after a second he like starts and tries to sit up. But the other three like put their hands on their shoulders and push him back down, and then Mirth was like, "You sit, lay back down. You're still injured." And the Goliath's like, "Ugh, where am I?"
Yeah, I only rolled 4 HP, but then I'm also gonna pump 3 more HP into him through my healing hands.
Okay, so you like do that, and then you just like put another one into him, so like heal some things. I was like, I feel better. Where am I? Where are we? And the woman in the red flowing clothing, which you would probably be able to recognize as a fire genasi, says, "You're safe. We're in the cabaret, and you need to calm down and stop trying to go get yourself killed." He says, "What was I supposed to do? There was a ship. It was under attack. I tried to help." And the Mirth just rolls his eyes. It's hard to tell. Like it's mostly like a face and eyebrow movement, but it's hard to tell when there's no pupils. But you can identify that his eyes are indeed rolling as he says, "Of course you were just trying to help. You're always just trying to help. Now tell me, who was it you were just trying to help this time?" He says, "There was a ship. There was a ship on the river. I don't know. They were just sailors, just bringing in a shipment or something. I don't know. But I walked by and I saw some of the chimeras on board. They were just throwing boxes overboard. I could see the crew. A bunch of them were tied up. There was fighting. I went in to help." And Mirth just pinches the bridge of his nose and says, "And you got into a fight with more of the chimeras right on the river. And let me guess, there was one of you and dozens of them, and they left you looking like some ground beef and threw you overboard into the river." And he says, "No, I managed to crawl away. They didn't throw me overboard." "Well, good. I'm glad that you have that at least." Khazradan, what are we going to do with you? He says, "Well, you could listen to me for one." I says, "Well, what is it?" He says, "They're up to something. Those chimeras are up to something. I don't know who for, but someone hired them." He says, "Yes, someone always hires them. They never do anything on their own. What do you think they're up to?" He says, "I don't know, but I think the crew is in bad shape. I think a lot of them are dead. They might have been killing the crew. I don't know what they did with the bodies, but the captain, before I passed out, I saw the captain get dragged off somewhere. I don't know where. The captain got dragged off somewhere." He says, and Mirth says, "That is troubling. And I suppose you're going to want to go gallivanting off and go find him by yourself?" And he says, "Yeah, that's about." And as he says yes, the two women that brought him in both just look down at him with like daggers in their eyes, like, "No." And the one in the sort of quilted armor armor, clothes. Again, hard to tell. The half-elf says, "You're going to stay put, and you're going to get better. Because you," and she like jabs a finger into his side, like right where he's been holding it, and he lets out are injured. And if you go try and do this, you're going to get killed. And the Ganassi's like, what I think she means, like pushing her back out of the way, is we care about you, and we don't want you running off and dying. And Mirth says, and you're also an idiot who's going to probably get yourself killed. So we're going to bring you to a room, and you're going to rest and relax, and we'll figure this out in the morning. He says, but they've got him somewhere. They probably took him to one of their outposts. I don't know why they're keeping him, but they've got him. He's probably tied up. He's probably his prisoner somewhere. It's like, yes, and whatever they're going to do to him, well, hopefully it waits till morning, because we're certainly going to. All right. Before you try to rope anyone else into one of your harebrained schemes, Faith, Katya, please, you know the rooms that we use, or that you can use. Please take him over there. Help him find his way to his room. And Quinroar, please make sure he stays in there. And Quinroar, the bartender, nods and comes over and helps him up, an arm over the shoulder. He's like, all right, let's get you over there. Let's see if we can get you patched up and get you into a bed so you can rest, and you're not going anywhere. And he starts carrying him out of the room, and the three of them leave. And Mirth is just like rubbing at his forehead, looking upset, and some of the waiters come over and very quickly start cleaning the like droplets of blood that managed to soak onto the tabletop, just cleaning it off. And he says, I'm very sorry you had to see that. Thank you so much for your help.
Of course, you have a very well-oiled machine here, it appears.
If only it were well oiled, or machine, and not just whatever it is. Thank you so much for that. Again, I apologize.
Perhaps
but yes,
me and my friends could help with the oiling. What was this about chimeras? Is this an ongoing issue?
If you're new in town, you should probably at least know about them. They're not actual chimeras, luckily. They're a group. They're called the Chimera's Personal Army, or Chimera's Private Army. They're a mercenary group, and a terrible one, honestly. They take jobs from anybody, and they will do whatever, up to and including things that are considered to be unlawful. But if any of them get caught, they just get disavowed. Officially, I think the loophole they exploit is that officially, they're just an organization that people can be a member of. They don't broker any of the actual jobs. Their members accept the jobs personally. So whatever jobs the members accept is up to the members. So if they get caught doing anything illegal, the greater organization doesn't suffer. And I'm sure they just shuffle them off to another city if they get caught somewhere where no one knows them, and they can just do it all over again.
It's frustrating.
Yes, it is. And apparently they've stooped now to assaulting riverboat captains and throwing their cargo into the harbor. So there's that. And you're going to have to, I apologize, you'll have to excuse Kazradan there. He's, well, let's just say he is very proactive in his desire to help people. If there's not trouble for him to be involved in, he goes looking for it.
I don't think that's necessarily a terrible trait to have.
No, but some amount of temperance and self-control would be nice to go with it. Otherwise, I wouldn't find him bleeding on my table once every 10 days.
That is very fair and understandable. Well, I have a lot to think about. If you do end up needing any help, just you know where to find us, I suppose. We would be more than happy.
All right. Well, for right now, don't worry about it. Please go try and get some rest, get some sleep, and just rest, relax, enjoy your suite, and I look forward to your performance tomorrow night.
Me too. And like all the formalities like immediately drop. It's gonna be so much fun. Oh my god. What am I gonna perform? I don't know. It's gonna be great.
I'm sure you'll figure something out, and we're all looking forward to it. Have a good night,
You
Ilvem.
too, Mirth.
Bye. And goes back to kind of directing traffic and cleaning up the main room as you go back upstairs and find your way back to your room. You can find your way back again the second time, and you can see that one of the on the second floor, closer to the stairs, you can see the door is still cracked from one of the rooms, and you can hear the voices from the people downstairs talking. You can hear the Goliath still arguing, and the others that were charged with keeping him in there still, you can just hear the repeat like, nope, you're sleeping, no, stay, stop it, lay down. And the half elf is like, I will tie you to that bed. And then that gets it to quiet down for a bit as you pass by and continue on back to your suite. And you can open the door with your key and return back to your room and go to bed.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Bed.
All right. And you go back to sleep. Yes, and you all get a long rest. You go back to sleep, you rest, and the dream that you were having before does not actually return to you. You go back to sleep. It's kind of one of those things when you go back to sleep, you think you might fall back into the same dream, just continue back in. But this one is a completely different dream.
As I am falling asleep, I'm gonna mutter some things to myself, but I will message them to you.
Okay. All right. Okay. And you all get the benefits of a long rest. You all go to sleep, and then the next morning, you wake up. It's actually probably fairly late in the morning. You all had a long day yesterday, and the rooms are practically soundproof. So you wake up to like sunlight streaming in through the windows. You can see there's people milling about, moving on the streets, back and forth. There's not quite the same party atmosphere it was last night, kind of just people moving around, going about their business, getting ready to start their, actually having started their day and everything. But you all wake up probably fairly hungry.
I don't see any acid on the floor.
Yeah, because Archimedes is still above the door in exactly the same position that you left him in the night before.
Good job, Archimedes. You are a saint.
The little like acid nozzle retracts and then just and he flaps down and lands on like one of the bed knobs at the foot of the bed.
I sit up in bed. All right, Archimedes. Shoulder, Moloch, coat.
And they both flap and clamber over. Moloch manages to climb. The fact that you're sitting helps, and he like manages to get his paws in and like tumbles into your coat pocket and then shuffles around before his head's poked back up, and Archimedes just kind of wraps his spider legs around your shoulder.
All right.
Okay. Drusilla, you wake up. You don't actually wake up. You stop trancing somewhere in the middle of the night, actually. Now I think about it. Unless you wanted to just trance all the way through to morning.
She's gonna trance to halfway through the night, and then for the second half, she's gonna move her little nest of blankets onto the balcony.
Okay.
And then just spend the rest of the night out there.
Okay. Trancing or just like awake and watching, just hanging out?
Just hanging out.
Okay. So yeah, you can just kind of sit and hang out and look out over the city. You have a pretty good view. You're kind of awake and present as morning. The dawn, as morning comes to the city and dawn rises. You can even see in like the pale light before dawn, some people are up and moving around and doing some basic jobs and maintenance work kind of things. People like start sweeping, the steps out in front of their shops and getting things set up, and wagons and carts that need to move morning supplies for local bakeries and things like that, moving through the city. The very, very, early crack of dawn type jobs as time goes on, more and more and more people eventually fill the streets. You would probably be aware, looking in through the window, you would see the door open sometime in the morning, your front door, and someone just wheels a little like cart into the room with some covered plates.
Nice.
And they might see you through the window and just wave and then point down at the breakfast before nodding and then closing the door behind them.
So before Drusilla goes back in, she's just gonna kind of like look at her quarterstaff and just be like, "I'm coming, Kaylin. Wait for me." And then she'll go back inside and check out these plates of breakfast.
Okay. All right. You'd be the first one out there because everyone else is sleeping in and you trance. So you've got first dibs. You can like pull them open. It's a pretty good breakfast spread. There is a table, or there's a couple tables like out on either side of the fireplace that look like good for eating breakfast out overlooking the city. There's also a couple, table on the balcony. And you've got, it looks like this is probably meant to be like taken over and eaten, not directly off the cart, but you've got a couple plates of eggs, some bacon, some sausages, along with some more like plates of fruit.
Any apples?
There would be some apples, yeah. More of the majority of the fruit though is like breakfasty kind of fruit, like berries and sliced melon and things like that, not necessarily whole fruits.
We're gonna take any and all apples out of the fruit, and she's gonna just like kind of take them and toss them over the balcony.
Okay. All right.
So I'm just like, ow, what the fuck?
It's early enough still. The streets are pretty quiet at this point, but yeah. And then also some like a little kind of like almost mini cauldron of porridge as well. And then there's like some bowls and dishes to accommodate all of this food.
Get herself some breakfast and just sit by the fireplace, I guess.
All right. Sid?
Sid is out. Sid is gonna be out for a while.
Yep. So you would like eventually wake up and you're on this very comfy bed and it's like this nice room, sunlight is streaming in, it's nice and quiet.
It's gonna like take a second, sort of wake up in a bit of a panic, like, where am I?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually remember everything that happened. And then get up, sort of like adjust himself, make sure like everything's good. And then walk out into the common room area.
Okay. You see Drusilla. Drusilla's sitting next to the fireplace, one of the tables with some breakfast eating. There's a few There's this cart with some breakfast on it. Oh, I suppose there would also been like on the lower level some pastries and breakfast stuff, like some breads and some like breakfasty kind of breads and like almost like flaky croissant like pastries, as well as some sweeter stuff with some like sweet cream and things like that.
Walk over and grab a croissant.
Okay.
And just take a bite. Anyone else up yet?
No one's come out of their rooms.
Yeah. Actually, viewers slept. You probably slept in late. So Hannibal probably would have come out before Sid at some point.
Yeah, before I would have come out though, I'd do some research in that planar book I have.
Okay, all right. So you probably might end up coming out at the same time as Sid as you're reading through your book.
Reading up specifically on a plane I probably would have seen if I flipped through the book, I assume.
Which one is that?
The negative energy plane.
I don't think the negative energy plane is actually in 5th edition, is it?
Yes, it is.
Is it? Oh, okay. Oh, positive and negative energy planes are in there, yeah. Well, actually, sorry. So the negative energy plane is actually, you wouldn't find necessarily a negative energy plane. You would find the Shadowfell, which kind of has fits the same profile.
Okay, Shadowfell it is.
Yeah. So it would be, yeah, you'd read up on, it's frequently described as like literally the shadow cast by the material plane. Very much mirrors it in some ways, but different also. It has a much less corporeal aspect to it than most planes. It's very malleable and shifts from place to place and is a very strange place from the accounts that you're reading.
And it's spoopy.
Yes, it is.
Anything on the domains of Dread?
Nope.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I finished reading that. I make some notes in my personal little book about the Shadowfell. Close the book, Put it back in the bag of holding. Walk outside. Is there any meat for breakfast? Did they leave us any meat?
So Hannibal's door opens and immediately, just as the door's open, is there any meat?
Yes, there's plates of meat, Hannibal.
What kind of meat do I see?
Primarily bacon, though there's probably some like various thicknesses of bacon, like from thin strips of bacon all the way up through like a thick rasher of bacon.
Would you
Like a nice
say
little like Studio Ghibli bacon.
is female bacon?
Is there what now?
Oh,
Female.
that's right. Female bacon.
The best
Canadian
kind of
back bacon.
Canadian back bacon.
Okay. All right, sure.
Sweet. I take all of the meat I can find
American.
and put it on a plate.
All right. So it's just,
I take all the meat. All the meat.
Loads of a plate with meat. Yep.
I feed
All right.
a lot of it to Hannah, to Moloch.
Okay.
And I'm
Moloch
curious if
happily
Archimedes will eat any of it.
Archimedes doesn't have a digestive system, so like you can like put it in Archimedes' mouth, and Archimedes will like do
Chomp,
this
chomp,
with
chomp.
his mouth, but then it just like falls out like the underside, or you probably have something like on the underside of the jaw, like some stretched like leathery something like membrane there, so I can kind of sit, but for the most part, it just like falls out the sides because it doesn't have any cheeks or anything.
I just eat whatever falls out. No, that didn't work as well as I thought. Here you go, Moloch, just a little piece of bacon
Okay, Moloch is happily eating bacon.
for both of your heads.
Mm-hmm. All right. Ilvem, you're probably the last to wake up given the late night that you had.
That's fair. In my room, I'm gonna put my chain shirt back on, and then change into a set of fine clothes.
Okay. So Ilvem comes out of the room looking fancy.
Very spiffy.
Mm-hmm. All right. You can also see the very nice breakfast layout and everything, and
Yeah,
looks
they're
like
gonna make themselves like a nice little like vegan plate.
okay.
There's no apples, I checked.
Oh, that is such good news. They're just they're so gross, and their texture and their taste, just all of it's bad.
Drusilla, you like as you're sitting by the window, you look off to one side and you can see there's a mule cart full of what looks like sacks of flour being pulled along, and you can see the person like grabbing the bridle and trying to pull the mule through the street, but it's just like sitting there munching on just this pile of scattered apples on the street, just like and then like goes for another one. He's like, no, come on, no, Pat, why are these? Just like kicking them off to the sides, like, why are these here?
Wonder who did that.
So what do we wanna do today?
Bone grinder.
Actually, I'd like to do some research on some areas around here. I'd like to find books.
We can definitely look for a library. I have to admit, I think the bone grinder does sound kind of fun.
Thank you, Velma.
I changed my vote. I'd like to go to the library as well.
I also agree to go find a library, as well as I need to pick up my coat today.
Oh, I should also talk to the lady at the armor shop. Let her know where we're staying.
Agreed.
Yeah, I should probably go tell the Hat Man where I am.
So that's all in the same area. Maybe we should do that first and go look for a library.
Yeah, maybe one of them can tell us where it is.
All right, let's go. I finished my breakfast.
All right, so y'all finish up eating. You can put the plates back. There's like a space on the breakfast cart to like almost like a little partitioned off area where like dishes can go.
Well,
Head back out.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you exit your room. Everyone's got their keys. Double check. Head back out the door. You can head back down probably Ilvem, unless you lead the way down like that side way that the person showed you last night, you're probably all taking the more roundabout way out that Mirth showed you on the
Yep,
way up.
I am not taking the narrower way. We
Okay.
are just gonna take the long way.
All right, so you take the long way down, you come down those stairs, and you kind of pass by that large sitting room area, almost like a lobby. And Mirth, you can see the Fire Ganassi from the night before is kind of just like curled up on the corner of one couch with her like very drapey red clothing, like very patterned draping clothing, just kind of like tucked underneath her legs as she's kind of like curled up in the corner of the couch, and she's reading a book. Just looks like she's trying to relax. And and as all of you look at her, you can see again her hair kind of like as it cascades down. It looks like almost like the reflecting, like as the light reflects off her hair, it reflects red. But as you move, like it doesn't, the reflection does not seem to, the shininess does not seem to match with the angle of the light. Like it's just almost like there's this slight red underglow to her hair, almost like embers.
Nice.
And as she looks up and sees, as she sees all of you coming down, she's kind of nods politely, but then when she sees Ilvem, she closes the book and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, thank you so much for your help last night. I didn't get your name."
Oh, of course. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Ilvem.
Very, very nice to meet you. Again, thank you so much. My name's Katya.
Oh, so nice to meet you. Yeah, let me know if you ever need help with anything.
Well, if you're going to be around, then most likely my Khazardan will most likely need healing services again. If you would like to provide them, we will never say no.
Of course. How's he doing this morning?
Still asleep, and we're trying to keep it that way.
Smart.
He can't get into any trouble while he's asleep.
That's true. Though you'd be surprised. I have a friend. Had a friend, who even in her sleep sometimes managed to piss people off.
As soon as you switch from the have to had, you can just see like an immediate familiar look of understanding on her face, and she's like, "I'm sorry for your loss."
Thank you. It'll all sort itself out in the future, I'm sure.
It always does.
Well, you know where to find us. Bye.
Have a good morning. And she goes back. She opens the book again.
Do.
Yeah, you can all make your way back out. The main entrance of the cabaret is kind of open. It looks like some people come in for breakfast. Light music playing. It seems like there's a musician somewhere playing some sort of string instrument, perhaps maybe a harp. Ilvem, you'd be able to identify it as a harp. Everybody else is kind of like some kind of strings from somewhere. It's echoing from somewhere, like not on the stage, just providing light breakfasty background music.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'll like whistle along to it a little bit.
All right.
Just, like quietly.
All right. And are you all heading to the you're all heading to the front area of town where you got to the shops where you got your stuff taken care of?
Yes.
Okay. So you start walking over and start making your way over there. It's a bit of a walk because it's in it's a couple districts away, but you can make it if you know your way now, so it's a little bit more little quicker. So just walking along, talking at all, like idle chit chat, anything you want to talk about as you're walking, or
Ilvem definitely just like chatters, but not about what happened last night, and it's not really like offering up any information about like what Katya was talking about.
Okay, just kind of like mention, just like idle small talk about things, like, oh, that place looks nice. Oh, they probably have, that smells really good. Though that's a really cool wagon.
I think the bone grinder is still a good fun idea. It gives me a chance to test out my new hat.
Exactly. Well, we'll have to wait till you get your new hat to do the bone grinder, right?
Okay.
That's still a few days away.
Who knows? Maybe he worked really quickly.
I think we
promise
should
you,
do the bone grinder after the library.
Hannibal, I promise you, we'll do the bone grinder before we leave the city again. Pinky swear.
I don't have a pinky.
What fingers do you have?
I think I only have 3 fingers.
That
Well, pick
seems
one
like
of
a
them
bit
and
your part.
swear on it.
Okay, I don't know what this accomplishes, but sure. Index finger.
Index finger.
Okay.
And if I break my promise, you can cut the finger off. That's how it works.
Alright, I'll make myself a note.
All right. Okay. So you walk along. Seems like a slightly awkward walk across town. Ilvem filling the silence with just anything and everything that has to do with nothing.
Yep.
And eventually you find your way back to that main row of shops on the front side of town. And each of you has kind of your place you can split off to and go do your business.
Yeah. Hat store.
Hannibal, are you basically just going in and just being like, "Hello, we're staying here"?
Yeah.
Okay, so you go in and he's like, "All right, I'll make note of it."
Thank you. How goes the ordeal?
Very good. We've finished with the pattern now, and we are getting set up to begin cutting out the pieces.
I'm so excited. Okay, so yeah, Onyx Cat Cabaret.
I'll keep that in mind. Would you like it delivered there?
Yes. Is that
All right,
extra?
No, delivery is for a customer of your caliber. Delivery is free of charge.
Did you hear that, Drusilla? A customer of my caliber.
I did hear that. Yes.
And I walk outside.
Okay. Ilvem, you're going into the armor shop.
Yeah, I'll just like duck my head and be like, "Oh, hi. We figured out what inn we're gonna be at.
Okay. Which one's that?
It's the Onyx Cat."
All right. Fancy. All right. I'll keep that in mind. She like whirs her way over along behind a counter and like leans down, like one arm like leaning down and just like takes a note down on a pad of paper and then pulls herself back up and then goes back around to what she was working on. Noted.
Also, I'm so sorry. Yesterday, I completely forgot my manners and didn't actually ask for your name. Mine's Ilvem.
Did you not? I could have sworn you did. All right. Not a problem. My name is Elsis.
I don't suppose you've found a job for us to do yet?
You know, I didn't expect you back so soon, so not off the top of my head, but certainly keep a lookout.
Okay, that's understandable. We'll talk to you later then. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day. He goes back to working on what she was working on.
Then I'll just head towards the tailor shop that I knew Sid was going to.
Okay, back up to the leather workers.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so you go, open the door, go up the stairs, and you can see that as you go up, it looks like you can see your coat sitting on just kind of like one of those torso mannequins, like no heads, no arms, and just kind of ends at the waist, but it's just enough to drape the coat around. It's hanging up there right in the middle of the room, and she's standing and like kneeling down and just finishing the stitching on like the bottom corner and attaching the lining onto the inside. And it basically looks exactly like it originally looked when it was new. Very much restored. It looks like she was even able to match the color with a stain.
Yes.
And as you come into the shop, and she kind of looks over her shoulder at you, and she says, "You're back. Oh, perfect timing. I am just about finished here."
All right, fantastic. You work fast.
Not a lot of other customers came in, so I work on yours.
I actually had a question for you, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
do you know of any job postings, bulletin boards in the area, people who might be looking for work of some kind?
Well, I'm sure someone told you most adventuring types come in for the bone grinder, but there are people who jobs are not usually posted in public places like that. I think some have tried, but with the size of the city, they are swarmed with people by the time they've accepted the job. They've given the job to somebody, and by the time they can take the poster down, 12 other people have come up to them to ask about it and inquire. So usually there are people brokers of a sort that handle that kind of thing.
Know where I might be able to get into contact with one of these brokers?
I don't usually make it my business to associate with them, so I don't know any personally. I've just heard tell of them.
All right. Well, thank you.
And as she's been talking, she like finishes and ties off the very last stitch and cuts the thread she's using, or more like cord, because it needs to go through the leather, and then stands it up, does like a quick last look through of all of it, making sure everything fits and is nice and neat around the edges, and then says, all right. And she steps back to one side. There you go. Try it on, see how it fits. All right, we put it on, and yeah, it is definitely newer. The leather's a little bit, is stiffer, like hasn't been worn for years and broken in, so it needs some breaking in. But for the most part, yeah, it feels like it did when you first got it.
Skill can definitely be told through the work that you do. It's an amazing piece. I greatly appreciate it. This coat means a lot to me.
Well, I'm very, very glad you enjoy it. If you have any other friends who need leather work done, or hear of anybody that needs leather work done, please, I would very much appreciate if you would let me know, or let them know that I'm here. Customers are harder to come by.
Of course. Thank you again.
Of course, it is my pleasure.
All right. And then Sid will turn to leave.
Okay. All right, you head out. I think that was everyone's business here on this main street.
Yep.
Okay, so you can all meet back up out on the street. Sid's got his new coat on. That's really the only visible difference from everybody.
Sid might even, if you really focus on it, Sid might even, be smiling a little bit. Maybe possibly. An actual
Scandalous.
Wow.
Scandalous.
Scandalous.
A 15 perception. Do I see the smile?
Totally.
I think you might see the smile, yeah.
You might even see a little bit of a blush.
Ilvem smiling.
Sid sees you smiling and immediately stops.
I always look like I'm smiling because I don't have lips.
That's not what you always look like.
Oof.
What is that supposed to mean?
So did anyone find where the library is?
I completely forgot to ask.
Oh, one moment. Back to the hat store.
You go back into the hat store?
Yeah. Hi, I have a question for you, actually.
Yes. Yes. What? How can I help you?
Could you actually point me to the nearest library?
This library. Oh.
I'm going to teach my friends how to read.
All right. I suppose primarily the libraries we found south of here in the university, over in Elserberg.
I think I've been there before. Close.
You get, when you did the job for the student with the phase spider, that's the district that was in. That's the university district.
I know the place.
Yes. The university should provide access to its library.
Thank you again. Here's 2 gold for your trouble.
You are so kind. You are so very kind. Thank you so much.
I know. Everybody thinks I'm just an awful person.
I can't say why. You are a lovely individual, and I am happy to do business with you. Please come by at any time.
I shall
Think his grandma.
come back all the time. Okay, have a beauteous day.
You as
Aw,
well.
Hannibal
You
made a
as well.
friend.
And I come back outside. University District, Drusilla and I have been there before.
Oh, perfect. Lead the way.
Where?
We'll go to the university district or try and find our way to it.
To the
Okay.
University District.
Okay. So you guys are leading the way. All right. So you go south. You have to cross over the river. There's a couple of bridges that cross over between these two districts. This is again one of those ones where it's not as obvious a shift. Like clearly there's the river that makes a clear line of demarcation between the two districts, but there's not an immediate apparent difference between like the buildings or anything. Like last time you came through here, you notice the just kind of businesses and the kind of products on advertised and the kind of businesses you see here are just different from Silvergate. There's a lot more like glass blowers and bookbinders and bookshops and just generally like things that look like the kind of products that would sustain and support university, especially one that studies magic, more so than would be found elsewhere in the city. And as you head over towards the main campus of the university, that is where we're going to end it for the week.
Yay. Welcome to Elterberg.
Yep. All right.
The
So
student that we
Yay.
helped.
Yay!
yeah, you know a couple of students. You know the student that you helped, and you know his friend who came and got you from your inn.
Those would be, I have the names right here, Eugene and Celissa.
All right, there you go. So, some things came up. Backstory. Some backstory elements were hinted at. Some were a bit more revealed. Other things
Ilvem's
got brought up.
secrets.
Yeah, Ilvem's got some stuff.
Ilvem's got secrets.
Ilvem has secrets.
Let's play some truth or dare next long rest.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
It's a
Though.
good thing this party doesn't have the Void Moss tendency to zone of truth. Everybody.
Not yet.
Not
Well.
yet.
Yeah.
It's okay. Ilvem's a pretty accomplished liar.
Probably
Oh,
is pretty good
no.
at charisma saving throws.
Oh
Also
my
that.
God.
All right. So thank you, audience, everybody, for watching. Chat, we appreciate you always coming in to watch and.
I only had to ban one person.
Chat. What?
I only had to ban one person today.
Hey, look at that.
Hey.
It was me, and I'm sorry.
It was just posting a bunch of inappropriate stuff about the tiefling that
Yeah.
everyone was talking about.
I-
No, not actually. That was
Because it got deleted before I looked at chat.
it's an ad.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, chat, for joining us. Those of you that did not get banned, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you very much. We appreciate always hearing your feedback, hearing you talk about stuff. I read it. Also, I sometimes get distracted while I'm supposed to be DMing and read the chat, but
Same.
I call that engaging with the audience. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody else. Thank you, Party, for playing with us.
Thank you, Sam, for DMing such a fun game.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you enjoyed
Yes,
it.
thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
So some threads to follow up on.
Experience.
Some threads to follow up on. You've got you also. Oh, by the way, I should mention it. It's been some time. Hannibal and Drusilla, you were never paid for the bank job.
Oh, that's right.
You still
Yeah, we
need to go
weren't.
back to Lucas and get
we
your
have to
pay.
go. We have to go find Lucas and get our money.
You know where his office is, so it's still there. So
It's like
if you
by
ever,
the bone grinder, right?
it's in that area, yeah, kind of.
There we go. Get
Yeah.
money, then go to the bone grinder.
So,
I
yeah.
really want to go in the bone grinder. Like Kirkland, the player, wants to be in the bone grinder right now.
Justin, the player, wants to be in the
Same.
bone grinder.
Yep, I've got-
Also,
ready.
I wonder if we should talk about next week and the week after for this game, because
oh, that's
I won't
right.
be around for those 2 Sundays.
That is right. So Justin will not be around for the next 2 weeks. I think we're still figuring that out.
Yes.
We can do about that. So we'll keep you posted and everything. But yeah, we will let you know. Keep an eye on Twitter, Discord, all of that.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully they can still play and we can just stream a recording or something on the Sunday.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. So, without further ado, we will say adieu. And have a good rest of your Sunday, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.